Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Wow. We got a lot of people who've been waiting for this live. I'm very excited. I'm very humbled. I want to make sure that I give you guys a really good show and I give you guys the facts, okay? Now, I want to tell you this before we get started. I'm going to be telling you guys my opinion based off of my experience, okay? I am not a part of this investigation. I do not work for the state of Florida. I have no intimate knowledge with any of the investigators who are down there in Kissimmee doing this great job that they're doing. It's a very difficult case, and they're doing a great job. I'm giving you my opinion based off of my experience. And yes, I do have extensive experience dealing with this very topic that we're going to be talking about, which is basically primarily the immunity that was given to Jen Soto. After we get through explaining the whole immunity situation, which deserves its own show, really, then we're going to go and we're going to do a reaction and analyze Jen Soto's interview or this interrogation or this proffer. We're going to talk about that word some more, proffer. We're going to analyze that and we're going to go through it, all right? And I will be stopping constantly and giving you my commentary. One of the reasons why I did not rush doing this show, guys, is because I wanted to make sure most of you already got to listen to this. So that when you see me stopping and analyzing, keyword analyzing her interrogation, you understand that that's why you're here for it. So if you want to listen to the entire show straight through without any interruptions, you can find that on Plunder. You can also find that on Grizzly True Crime. They have posted these interviews without any interruption whatsoever. If you're here because you understand I'm going to be analyzing it, okay? So we got quite a few people who are joining us. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, support the channel. Make sure you hit the like button because that gets us into the algorithm so more people can find the show. And we're going to be implementing some new stuff into the show on how I break this down. And those are emotional cues for me to stay on track because there's so much information. Let me know at the end of the show if you guys like it. And we'll definitely implement it more into the show. So, wow. I'm so happy you guys are here. Let me just set a few things up. And we're going to jump right into this because it's going to be a really, really good show. So excited to be here. All right, so we pull this up right here. And we're about to rock and roll. Let me go to the comment section real quick, say what up to people. I mean, the chat is buzzing. Lots of likes, lots of hugs. I love it. Wow. We're going to have a great one. All right. All right, cool. And you guys will see that we have a new bot inside of the chat. It's called a night bot. And basically it's like a mod that kind of helps out. I'm seeing that it might be deleting people's messages by accident. Don't feel upset or bad. We will work the kinks out. It looks like if you're putting multiple emojis, it's deleting that. I'll fix that later on. Don't feel bad. We're not trying to censor you from showing me love. I see people showing love. It's okay. All right. Just excuse us for this one live, and the next live, I promise you, it'll be fixed. This is our first time using this bot, and so there will be some kinks. Don't take it personally, guys. We will fix it. You will be good to go next time around. All right. Okay. So we all heard the video, guys. We heard the, well, I'm sorry, one more thing. Big shout out to Lauren WI, I think from Wisconsin, says thank you, Strategic, with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. All right. So we all heard the interrogation that shattered the internet. We've all been waiting. We've all been biting our lips, bottom lips, and fidgeting and just wishing that we can get that dump from Jen Soto's interview. We finally got it. And it was remarkable. To me, at least, it was. And it also proved a lot of the things that we were talking about on this channel are true. And we're going to get into those things, or at least are likely to be true, such as pregnancy. We're going to get into that, so stay tuned, all right? Once again, these are just my theories, but it looks like some of these things are starting to be actually accurate. But we're going to get into that. But one of the major things that came up is immunity. And there's two types of immunity that exist in the legal world. There's derivative use immunity, and then there's something called transactional immunity. And that's transactional immunity. We're going to start with derivative use immunity. And this is the type of immunity that Jen Soto was given. Go ahead, bring this back. So it was shocking to me, guys, that they gave her this immunity, but I understand why. We're going to get through this as we move through these slides before we actually analyze her interrogation. So what derivative use immunity means is that the prosecutor has decided that they are going to allow her to not be charged for anything that they tell her during that interview. And a lot of people are stuck on that. They're like, well, strategic. This is not real immunity. This is just the interview. But as you'll see when we play her audio, the detective continues by explaining that they're kind of giving her a little bit of a transactional immunity. And I'll explain that to you in a second. Because they said, we're not going to charge you for any of the false statements that you've made before. And then her attorney actually interjects and says, okay, can you clarify? Because she actually gave some written statements and stuff like that as well. And they said, we're not charging her for any written statements she gave that were not accurate. We're not going to charge her for any false statements that she's given in the past. And then they went on to T and said, we're also not going to charge you for anything that you say during this interview. But they did give a caveat. They said, if you lied to us during this interview, then we could charge you. But that is what is said during any type of immunity deal, period. Whether it's derivative use immunity or transactional immunity. If you lie during that immunity, you could be charged at the discretion of the prosecutor. But I'm going to explain to you guys why they're not going to charge her as we move along in this case. So that wasn't anything special. You know, people kind of grasp into that, and that's okay. You may not understand how this works. Some of you guys are law enforcement and have been involved in this. Some of you guys are attorneys and may have been in a room for these type of situations. Others are just trying to understand based off of what they're being told. And they're trying to use this community's superior skills of deduction, because the true crime community is some of the smartest people on the internet. But you're trying to use your skill of deduction to try and understand what's happening. But some of these things, you just have to have been there to understand how it works and how these folks think when they make these decisions. So with the derivative use immunity, understand that she cannot be charged for any admissions that she makes during that interview. She said, I had a part of the murder of Maddie. She can't be charged. If she said, I ex-abused Maddie, she cannot be charged. If she said, I knew that Stearns was coming over to my house to end Maddie, she can't be charged. For all of her statements that she made in the past, statements that we have evidence of from reviewing how inconsistent they was from each interview and reading the supporting depositions of our own, all those misstatements, they already said it on the record. We're not going to charge. So that's done. So let's go to transactional so you guys can know the difference. This is transactional immunity. Transactional immunity. You know what? I'm going to bring this guy in over here who's going to explain transactional immunity for you fine people. I'm going to let an attorney explain transactional immunity. Let's listen to an attorney explain.
Transactional immunity. What is it? Well, it is the broad brush version of immunity. Let's say that a bunch of people get together and decide to rob a bank, and the bank robbery goes down, and there is a large conspiracy of people who planned and worked out the details, especially somebody who's on the inside. One person who has the key, or maybe not, maybe they don't have the key to the whole conspiracy, but they can certainly start making the dominoes fall. That person is granted transactional immunity, which means he can't be prosecuted for either the conspiracy or the bank robbery itself. And that's what transactional immunity does. It gives you immunity from the whole prosecution over anything that arose out of that particular robbery. That's transactional immunity. It differs markedly from use immunity, which I've also talked.
All right. So I see people in the chat saying, but they said that if she lies during this interview, they'll charge her. Well, once again, this is where experience kicks in. And this is why I'm here to help you guys, because that's a really good statement. You guys are sharp. You guys are the smartest community on the internet, keeps people like me on our toes, right? The reason why they won't charge her is because this is not the only interview that they will do with her under this clause of immunity. It's safe for them to tell the truth. They don't want to charge her on small stuff. They're trying to turn her into a cooperating witness. They're not going to use these small little missteps of statements to charge her. They don't want that. If they could do that, they'd have did it already, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into which one does a prosecutor prefer. Do they prefer immunity in any form, whether it be derivative or transactional, or do they prefer plea bargain? We're going to talk about that when we get to the plea bargain slide. Let me bring it back over to me. We're going to go over transactional immunity. All right. So he just explained transactional immunity to you guys. Where else do we see transactional immunity? We see transactional immunity when, hold on here. This better be good. People saying I'm going in and out on my sound. Is that true? Can you guys hear me? My sound is still good. Some people say that it's breaking up. I don't know. My sound looks good over here. Let me get a thumbs up. They said it's clipping. Oh, so I guess it's just too high. So we'll bring it down. How are we looking right now? Is the sound better, guys? Let me know if the sound is better. All right. Somebody says they're hearing good. It's fine. It's still breaking up. Sounds perfect. Yup, off and on. Hear you good. So listen, half of you guys saying it's good. Half of you guys saying it's not. There's nothing that I can do on my end to fix it. I have perfect reception as far as my stream goes, and my audio looks perfect. And everything is good here. So I apologize if some of you are experiencing any hearing issues. You know, we'll try and kind of get through it. All right. Let's keep going. All right. Let's keep going. So you guys heard what transactional immunity is. I'm going to try and keep my voice down because I get a little hype and it might actually make the audio clip. All right. And talk a little back from the mic. So you guys heard what transactional immunity is. So transactional immunity is usually given in high profile cases, especially in the mob. Remember Sammy the Bull or Sonny the Bull? I think it was Sammy the Bull. Remember Sammy the Bull? I'm kind of dating myself. Even though I was a kid when this was happening, I fondly remember the mob. Sammy the Bull was a hitman. He killed dozens of people. But guess what? The federal government wanted to get the mob boss. Even though the mob boss killed nobody, but he was the head of the mob. And he directed people to get killed, and he directed extortion, and he directed bribery, and all the different things that the mob did. The government wanted to take down the mob. You know what they did? They gave transactional immunity to Sammy the Bull, which meant that even though they knew he had killed dozens of people, chopped them up and dismembered them and dispersed them across the country, even though he had his hands so dirty, they gave him total immunity on everything that he did and things that they did not discover yet. So if they knew that he had killed a dozen people, and then there was a 13th, 14th, and 15th, and 14th person that they haven't discovered yet, and then they discover those people when the trial is done, guess what? He's immune from that. But he wasn't immune from future crimes. So after they had destroyed the mob, locked them all up in federal prison, and Sammy the Bull was now a free man because of his transactional immunity deal, he started selling perks and selling, Vicodins and all that different stuff. They caught him doing that. They locked him up from that and gave him a lengthy, I think he got like 20 years or something like that, prison sentence for being a drug dealer, because that immunity did not extend to his new crimes, but his immunity, that total immunity, the golden grail of immunity, which is transactional immunity, him from everything he did with the mob. That is not what they gave Jen Soto, but they kind of gave her a taste of it by saying, we're going to shield you from being prosecuted from anything you tell us right now, and we're also going to shield you from all the things that we know that you told us that was a lie during your interviews and during your written statements. We're going to shield you from that too. So they went a step further to take care of Jen Soto. They gave her derivative use immunity with sprinkles on top. They gave her the plus version. They gave her the upgraded, they took her Honda Accord and gave her leather seats, and they didn't have to do that. But I know why they did it from based off of my experience. I'm going to tell you guys in a little bit once we get through this stuff. So this is another term I want to throw at you guys. Why did they give her a proffer? And this one kind of links in to the next slide, which is a plea bargain. Plea bargain versus immunity. So a proffer is basically immunity. It could be transactional immunity, or it could be derivative use immunity. If you're sitting down and you have immunity and you're talking to the district attorney, the county attorney, and the police, you're doing a proffer. That's what we call it. We also call it Queen of the Day. So moving forward, if you hear any YouTubers talking about proffers and Queen of the Day, or any law enforcement, you're talking about somebody who's speaking to law enforcement with some type of immunity. That is what they gave Jen Soto. Now, there's one YouTuber, I mean, I don't know if there's any other, but I caught onto it because I'm a fan of the show. There's one YouTuber who actually picked up on this when I said it, when I dropped my first video talking about the immunity that she got. I want to give that YouTuber a big shout out because only the pros know these type of terms like proffer and Queen of the Day. So she must be a pro. She definitely is because I subscribe to her. But I want to give a big shout out to Plunder, because Plunder actually picked up on this. And I thought that was really cool. Listen to Plunder when she picked up on what I said.
Because her child was missing, and then she was informed that Maddie was dead. So he's saying, yeah, she found out she's under stress. So derivative use immunity is a type of immunity that prevents the government from using evidence or info derived from a witness's testimony against the witness in criminal prosecution. So perhaps that's why we've heard, oh, there's no plans to, arrest or charge Jen with anything. It's like a contract between the government and a witness, where the government promises not to prosecute the witness in exchange for their testimony and information. Yeah, so I see why Strategic Eyes called it a proffer, just like Letitia Stuck's daughter got a...
See? Why I called it a proffer? Because it is a proffer. And it's big up to you, Plunder, for picking up on that, because a lot of other people didn't pick up on that. So, plea bargain versus, and now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. And I'm trying to speed through this, guys, because I know you guys want me to actually analyze her statement. But I want you guys to understand what we're talking about, these legal terms, and why we're where we're at right now. So, why is it that she got immunity, derivative use immunity? Let me bring this over here real quick. I want to bring this back to me, guys. With going after people with unclean hands in crimes, accomplices, getaway drivers, people like Jen Soto who are so close to the crime that you believe there might be a connection. If you have evidence, this is why she's not going to get arrested, guys. If you have evidence that she participated in the crime, that would make her an accessory out of the murder, or accessory to production of CSAM, or the accessory to the ex-abuse of this child. If you had evidence of those major crimes, you would have charged her as a district attorney. And how you would get her testimony is through a plea bargain. You would say, Jen, we're charging you with accessory to the murder. We're charging you with ex abuse and ex crimes. You guys know I'm trying to be YouTube friendly, all that good stuff. We're charging you with the production of CSAM. You're looking at 30 years in prison. But if you assist us in getting the death penalty for Stephen Stearns, we'll cut a deal with you and give you 15 years instead of 30. They have not done that with Jen Soto because they don't have evidence that she assisted in any of those crimes. I assure you that if they had any type of evidence that goes beyond a reasonable doubt, that could just bring them to that threshold where all they need to do is convince a jury, they would have run with it. They don't even have anything close to it right now, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they offered her immunity. I said immunity. That's my New York accent talking. Immunity. That's why they offered her immunity, because they don't have the evidence, guys. They don't have the goods. If they had the goods, they would not be operating by giving her a get out of jail free card. They would have charged her, and then they would have flipped her using time as the advantage against her. They don't have it. I tell you what she has an extremely accomplished attorney. She has one of the best attorneys in that area. I highly doubt she could even afford that attorney. Attorneys like that attorney, they like to take high-profile clients because they'll pay for them in the long run. They're willing to take a hit with somebody who's indigent, like Jennifer Soto, to have that in their resume, like I defended Jen Soto, and I was able to give her immunity. And now, what can I do for you to the clients who actually have money? She has a very accomplished attorney. And I'm going to show you in the interviews how accomplished this attorney is. I'm going to show you also who these people are who will be doing the interviews. We have their pictures. We have their information. We're going to put that out there so you guys can understand just the depth of people who's working on this on both sides. It's going to be a very in-depth show, so please stick around. But if they had the goods, ladies and gentlemen, they would have charged her. We would have been talking about Jen Soto being charged right now with whatever it is. And we would have been talking about her getting a deal in exchange for cooperation. That is not happening. And the reason why they gave her immunity is because they believe that she knows more than what she knows. They just can't prove it. They can't prove it. And so what they're figuring is, if we give her immunity, maybe we could get that missing link, those missing pieces that we can't fit together. Maybe we'll get it. Somebody says that the sound is breaking up again. It's kind of crazy because I do 1,000 lives. I don't have any issues. The biggest live that I'm doing, because I really have so much information to give you guys, is a live that actually has issues. How about it out here, guys? Can you guys hear me better now? Says the sound is going in and out. I don't even know where to begin on fixing the sound, guys. So what we'll do is, let's see if we could turn the mic off and on again. That's a scary proposition, because if the mic doesn't work, then we're screwed in all actuality. So let's see here. Looks like we're good. Let's make sure everything is good. Mic check, mic check. I'm gonna do one more thing, guys. Excuse me for 1 second. We're gonna see if we can fix this.
Pairing.
Mic check, mic check. Hope it's better, guys. Is it better?
Bluetooth connected.
Is it good? Mic check, mic check. Sound is good. Okay, cool. When your voice go up and louder, it starts to clip. Okay, so I'll try and keep my voice down, but I'm a very emotional and excitable person, so it's hard to contain my emotions. So what we're gonna do is, I'm going to do one more thing to adjust the sound, and then we're gonna jump back into this again. We're gonna jump back into it again. All right. Let's see here. Bring it down. Bring this down to 100. And hopefully that will be good. We'll be good to go. All right. How we doing? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Let me know if it sounds good. Secret Force says, I'm sure it's YouTube and not you. Well, we want YouTube and my mic to work together. All right. So let's get back on track, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is pregnancy. I want to talk about pregnancy with you guys. So we spoke about pregnancy on this show before. Unfortunately, there were some people who were offended by us having this theory. Our purpose in this channel is not to hurt anybody. Our purpose is not to offend anyone. Our purpose is to talk about true crime. Our purpose is to dive into these topics head on and to try and make sense of it. Our purpose is also to speak about the theories that we have, theories that are based off of our knowledge and experience in this field, this specific field. If you notice the majority of my content, sex crimes related content. Why? Because that is my field. That is my expertise. Sometimes we'll talk about murders. Of course, this case has a murder element to it, but of course, in its essence, in its genesis, it is a sex crimes case that resulted in murder. We knew from the beginning that this was a possibility of a motive. And as we will explore as we go through her interviews, which will be starting shortly, the detectives hammered Jen Soto on Maddie's period, her lack of getting a period for the entire month of February, the fact that she used no menstrual products, etc. These detectives would not be asking these questions if two things were not afoot. The first of those things is that either A, Maddie was pregnant, or B, they believed she was pregnant. Whether she was physically pregnant or not, or they believed she was pregnant due to her being late on her period, the motive still would be pregnancy. If you believe about the pregnancy, you would still be correct. I'm not the only one that had this theory. Other YouTubers had this theory. Many of you guys in the community had the theory. We would all still be correct whether she was physically pregnant or not if Stephen Stearns believed she was pregnant and that was on his mind, his mens rea, when he committed murder. The motive still would have been pregnancy. It is clear and obvious that the detectives are looking at this as a motive, which is why they use this valuable time to actually ask Jen Soto about Maddie's menstrual. There's no other reason why you would waste your time to ask about a normal female function that happens to the vast majority of females, not all. There are people with medical conditions, etc., or people on birth control who do not get menstruals, etc. But for the vast majority of females in the human race, this is a normal thing that happens. It is not a question that a detective would have unless it was relevant to the murder or the sex abuse. They asked that question for a reason. And we're going to explore it. We're going to listen to it with our own ears. So now at this time, I want to go ahead and start the video. And of course, it's going to be more commentary, more trying to figure out what's going on. As we're going on, I will be stopping it every now and then, more often than not, so that we can get to the bottom of this. If you don't want to hear my commentary, if this is your first time listening to it, well, then stick around, at least hear my commentary, but don't get upset. You can go on the channels that I listed to find the unedited, well, we're not going to edit it, but we will stop it, but the uninterrupted versions of this interview. It is out there for your review, for your digesting, okay? Here, we're going to be listening and we're going to be analyzing. All right, so let's get started. I have my notes here too. Let's do it.
Period at the beginning of February.
I'm gonna start over from the beginning. Let's go.
Good morning. We are at the State Attorney's Office in Kissimmee. It's 8:57 a.m. It is April 18th, 2024. I am William J. I am the Division Chief for the Homicide Unit. With me is Danielle Pinal, also from the Homicide Unit in Kissimmee. Can the detectives identify themselves?
Detective Mark Morris.
Detective Kyle Smallwood.
And with us is
Jennifer Soto.
with your attorney,
Matthews Barker.
All right. We went over some things before we went on the record. and told you had the opportunity to ask any questions that you need.
All right, real quick. They all just introduced themselves. I want to bring this over here for you guys' review. Just want to show you guys the different people who are a part of this conversation. So this is the Division Chief, Will J. of the Homicide Unit in Kissimmee. This is the Homicide Detective, Daniel Pinnell. Excuse me, my apologies. That's the Assistant State Attorney, Danielle Pinnell. My apologies. This is Kyle Smallwood. This is like some of his accolades. He's Detective of the Year. This is Kyle Smallwood right here in uniform. This is Mark Morris, who's also Detective of the Year. And this is Mark Morris. Thank you for your service, gentlemen. You guys are doing an excellent job. That's what the Kissimmee Police Department badge, logo, you know, cars. And this is Matthews R. Bark. This is the attorney for Jen Soto. A little bit about him. He's an award-winning former prosecutor. Means he knows all these tricks. And I'm going to show you some of the things that he does that shows you he's an excellent attorney. He's here to protect your liberty and insightful counsel. So if you're out there and you know you want to get engaged in bad stuff like Jen Soto and Stephen Stearns, he's got your back. And I'm just joking about this because in all actuality, I have the utmost of respect for defense attorneys. Do you know that there's nothing in our Constitution that talks about prosecutors, but our Constitution talks about defense attorneys. Why? Because they are the most important part of our system. They are what keep our system honest. So don't ever hate on prosecutors like they're doing the devil's work or something like that. No, these guys are patriots. You may not like them. You may not like their tactics, but they keep our system honest. It is for defense attorneys that we just don't round people up and send them to jail with no proof, no evidence, no nothing. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a system like that. That's not an America that I would like to live in. So now let's get back to business and let's continue.
To ask if you need a break to consult with your attorney, that is absolutely fine. We'll all step out of the room, turn off your recorders, and let you exercise your constitutional right to have counsel. There's no problem with that. There's water.
All right, somebody said I missed their super chat question. Let me go back and see it. We are trying to get through this. Let me see what's going on here. Mallory Beavers says $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, so they won't charge JS for taking part in SS crimes. Well, why not charge her with child neglect or endangerment or failure to act? Maddie needs justice. Because they're trying to turn her into a cooperating witness. That is why. These are charges that are misdemeanors to low-level felonies. They're trying to do a death penalty case right now. They don't see the relevancy in sending her to charging her with these small things and turning her into a hostile witness where now she's taking the information she may have to the grave with her. They've done their investigation. All right. They've already charged Stephen Stern. They've done their investigation. They've already dumped the phones and reviewed them. They've already got their subpoenas back from the iClouds and the Google Clouds. They've already dumped all the hard drives. They know all the contents of all these hard drives. They have all this information already. And in none of that information does Stephen Stern say, hey, I'm bringing Maddie upstairs tonight so I could do my thing and diddle her. You know, is it okay or is it your turn? They, you know, not to sound so callous, but they don't have that. They don't have that evidence. They don't have that smoking gun. So in their eyes, they're like, you know what? Let's see if we can get her to cooperate against Stephen because we know she knows more. We just can't prove it. But the only way you're going to get that information is to give her immunity because you don't have the evidence to charge her and do it via plea bargain. So all that stuff is small fish to these folks who are trying to do a death penalty case. That's what they're thinking. They're not thinking with our emotions. If I was in their proof, in their shoes, I would not be thinking the way that we're thinking now. I disconnect myself. I would probably be in agreement with the prosecutor because I want my case to be resolved with a death penalty as well. Now I see we got a chat from the docket. Another YouTuber that I watch and get a lot of information from and pay for some of his goods in the secondary market. Big shout out to the docket. I hope it's something nice he has to say because I got nothing nice to say, nothing but nice things to say about him. So I'm about to read out what the docket said. So big shout out to the docket. Thank you for coming to my show and showing love. I'm always watching your show. I just watch in the shadows. I don't always talk. So you probably don't even know that I'm there, but I'm there all the time, and you do a great job, buddy. You sound like a gruffy old man, and I love it. It's like I'm listening to my granddad or something like that. But anyway, let me listen. Let me see what the docket has to say. Docket says she only had immunity for what she said during the interview and her prior misinformation, like how she would. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. She only had immunity for what she said during the interview and her prior misinformation, like how she said she physically saw Maddie that morning. Yeah, we explained that, Docket. I don't know if you just got in. She did not get transactional immunity, which means immunity over everything. And I just want to make that clear in case the Docket was listening from the beginning and he misunderstood what I said, because if he misunderstood what I said, maybe some of you misunderstood what I said, okay? I did not say that she has transactional immunity, meaning like she has the immunity of she's got 20 dead bodies and nobody cares. And if they find 4 more 4 years from now, they're still not charging her with it. She got derivative use immunity, like the docket said, which I think I said before, for everything she said during that interview and all of the statements that she made, written and verbal, prior. But the reason why they gave her that is because they don't have the evidence that people are hoping that they have to charge her in the future. So all of the evidence that we were talking about charging her with was those statements, were they not, ladies and gentlemen? It was the misinformation that she had given during those interviews. We said, oh, that's a lie. Oh, look, she said this during this interview, she said that during that interview. That's a lie. Well, during that interview, which we will hear in a second, they literally said, we're not going to charge you for that stuff. So what other information? So listen, if they find out, and I said this during my first my first show that I made while listening to the Docket's show, when he was playing that original interview, that before we all got it, when he was just playing this interview I'm playing right now, all right? I said that unless they find CSAM or some type of proof that she knew about the abuse or helped in the cover-up, it's over. And I stand by that. And that also is a part of that derivative use. She's not shielded from them finding new evidence. But if they were going to find that evidence, they'd have found it already. They would have found it already. Like I just said, they've already gone through all of the hard drives, all of the phones, all that stuff. So unless Stephen Stearns comes forward and says, I have evidence and proof that she knew, and he's willing to give them evidence beyond his word, because remember, his word means nothing. He's a CSAM producing pedophile. If he just said, take my word for it, she knew, it's not going to fly with a jury. When he comes on the stand in shackles like this, and he's testifying, yeah, she knew, take my word for it, that's not going to fly. He has to have some physical evidence that's going to show that Jen knew. If he can produce that, or if the detectives can find that on their own, then yes, they can charge her. I got one more from the docket, sorry. Yeah, docket said I was answering that to someone in the chat. All right, cool. So see, me and the docket, we seeing eye to eye. He's a smart guy. Docket, you need to act like it's my birthday every day. And when you get these like exclusives, send some to me. Even though I'm too broke to help you pay for it, just, show strategic some love, man. I'm a poor, hardworking civil servant, man. Just send me some of that. Send me one picture, Docket. One picture for free, man. Come on. Let me stop. Let's keep going. All right. Let's jump back into this. Well, really flattered and really happy that you're joining me today, Docket. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You are an amazing YouTuber, and I wish you nothing but the best and nothing but luck on what you're doing. And you can count me in as a fan of yours, man. All right, let's keep going.
Water fountains here, there's restrooms. I don't know if you're a smoker or not, but like if you get desperate, we can make an outside break time, but we are kind of under time constraints. With that all said, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is an investigative subpoena, so you've been compelled to be here. And in our country, under the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment as applied to you under the Florida Constitution.
All right, so once again, we're going to be stopping a lot because I got to give you these little tidbits. So this is a compelled subpoena. Well, guess what? You can't force somebody to come in and talk to you and violate their 5th Amendment right. You can't do that. They're there because they're in agreement, because the state attorney and Maddie's high-powered attorney, they actually had meetings. They had powwows over this. They agreed to the terms of this interview. And that's why they're here. And that's why she's complying with this compelled interview, because she understands she has immunity. So don't think for a second that the state attorney sent out this subpoena, serves a process server, went to her attorney's house, served him with it. He's like, oh my God, Maddie. Not Maddie. Oh my God, Jen, get your clothes on. We got to get down to the attorney's office today. No, this was agreed upon. This was agreed upon, and they're there of their own volition, complying with that subpoena because they understand that immunity has been agreed upon. Let's keep going.
Constitution as well. You cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. So anything you say today can't and won't be used against you unless you just don't tell us the truth. And All
right, so that's derivative use immunity. He's explained to her. Big shout out to Valencia M with a $20 super sticker. Now, listen to the sugar on the top, the sprinkles he's going to give her. He's given a derivative use immunity for this interview right now, but he's going to sprinkle something on the top. Listen.
I've already explained to your attorney, Mr. Bark, whether or not you've made any inconsistent statements in the past, that is dirt under the bridge, and either a misdemeanor was committed or it wasn't. But
dirt under the bridge. Dirt under the bridge. Now listen to her high-powered attorney clarify this so that there's no mistaking that what happened in the past is done as far as the statements that she made and the written statements that she gave.
But we're not going to be using that as a basis of some sort of perjury by false statements, because those other charges wouldn't be perjury anyways.
Now check that out. He just threw something in there that not many people got. I didn't hear anybody on these YouTube streets speak about. But that last statement he just made was basically that they wouldn't have even charged her with perjury, guys. They could have charged her with accessory after the fact. Now, let me go ahead and read for you accessory after the fact. And this is why I was so heartbroken that they threw the baby out with the bathwater and they just gave her this gift. And I don't know why they gave her this gift, ladies and gentlemen. But he said perjury probably wouldn't even be what it was charged with. Of course, we know perjury. Perjury is like a misdemeanor most of the time. This is what Florida says about what Jen Soto did when talking to those cops. Florida statute 777-03 defines the crime of accessory after the fact. It states that someone is an accessory after the fact if they, A, assist the person who committed the crime and or know the person committed a crime and or know the crime was a felony and or, and this is the kicker, intended to help the person avoid detection, arrest, trial, or punishment. If you're telling me that we dropped her off at school, you're saying you're a witness in the car to Stephen Stearns dropping her at school and not participating in her disappearance or murder. You are trying to stop law enforcement from detecting that he's lying and he's involved, arresting him, trying him, or punishing him. That's just one example. And you guys know there's 1,000 other examples. So they could have charged her with accessory after the fact. Let's keep going.
So the most important thing today is to tell the truth. I also explained derivative use immunity, which means if you said that there was a gun, and obviously there's no gun in this case, buried in your attorney's yard, we couldn't go dig up that gun if you told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there. We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions?
And let me tell you how difficult that is, guys. You guys can understand here, right? He said we'd have to learn these things independently. You guys want to understand why we don't like giving this type of immunity? And guys, this is the 90% of immunity is derivative use immunity. That small 10% is transactional. You barely give transactional away. That's like the ultimate get out of jail. That's like you got a license to kill. You assassin, okay? We barely give that away. 90%, and they barely give derivative immunity. You know who got transactional immunity? Little Woody in the YSL trial, the Young Thug trial. He got transactional immunity. He's a killer. They know he's a killer. He knows he's a killer. He admit to being a killer. And yet that family whose loved one he killed will not get justice, and the state attorney in Georgia is willing to do that because they want to get the head of the organization, who is Young Thug. But derivative use immunity is given out, but it's not given out that often. It's very rare. And the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why is when I remember, I'll tell you, because I lost my train of thought. Let's keep going.
All right, so let's get started.
Before you start, let me just.
Let's go back.
We couldn't go dig up that gun if he told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there.
Oh, what I was going to say, guys, sorry about that. So much going on in my head right now. Is because if you find that other information, right, that she did something, and let's say she spilled the beans on things, it's pretty much null and void. Her attorney will find a way to fight it and say, no, they only found that out because my client gave them this. You only give this when you're like, I'm done. I'm exhausted all investigative avenues. I don't have anything further. This is all I got. You know what? Let's give it immunity because we just can't prove she's connected. Because once you give this immunity and people start spilling the beans and they start telling about the things they did, it is very difficult to prove as law enforcement that you independently discovered it. The only way, like, for instance, like I was watching Plunder a couple days ago, and she said somebody sent her a video of Maddie in a room on a bed, and a guy is telling her to turn around, and she's like, don't squeeze, no squeezing. It's horrible the way that Plunder described it. And somebody said I'm having audio sound problems. Click out and come back in. You guys still having audio issues? But let me finish what I'm saying at least. You know, it is what it is. At least finish my train of thought. If somebody sent them something independently, then you could track that. And you could say, well, you know what? We got this from Joe Schmo, who was an anonymous tipster. We know who he is or who she is. And that's how we got this information. Let's charge her with it. But it's very difficult to separate what the person told you that was incriminating from you then and being able, somebody said no sound issues at all. No audio is good. No audio issues. There's no audio issues. So I got to keep going. All right. And we also have to be mindful that some of you guys may be having sound issues. Some of you guys may not. I just can't keep stopping the show to address sound issues. As long as my sound show is good, I got to keep pushing forward. All right. That being said, so yeah, that's the difficulty in developing additional information after you've already given immunity and the person may or may not have made incriminating statements against themselves under the guise of having that immunity. And then you come back later and say, I want to supersede it because guess what? I found new evidence. You better be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you got that information without being led by the confession that that person gave you under the guise of immunity. Let's keep going.
We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right, so let's get started.
Before you start, let me just make sure we're clear on the record. Off the record, we had discussed our position on the concerns we have. Ms. Soto was interrogated by law enforcement previously. She was under a tremendous amount of duress and stress, being that her child was missing and then she was found deceased. There's been media hysteria about this. There's been people asking for her to be prosecuted, tarred, feathered.
Is he talking about the Strategic Eye show right there? I'm one of those people. Arrest Jen Soto. Let's keep going.
Executed. And so with that said, we have the concern that you brought up about if there's something said inconsistent today, not being used against her for filing a false police report.
Right, so for example.
All right, so this is the genius of this attorney. They've already had these conversations probably over email, so it's being memorialized on email. You can submit that as evidence in a hearing and verbally. But this attorney is such a good attorney that he's saying, let's clarify this on the record during this statement. And he once again dug into her false statements that she's made to law enforcement. And he's now going to force this detective investigator to double down on the record and explain once again, she's not going to be charged for the prior false statements that she made in the past. Let's keep going.
Well, if she said something that was false then, and we have no idea that was false now before this interview, but she comes in and admits that it was false today. We can't use these statements or that admission that it was false against her, just like we couldn't use anything else against her from this interview.
Okay.
Okay? All right. My understanding is that on February 25th of this year, you were working at the hotel on Disney property out at Coronado Springs.
Yes.
You
You have to answer
out loud and loud enough to get caught on the record. I know you're upset. I know.
Yes.
All right. And did you get off at 10 p.m.?
Yes.
All right. Did you go directly home?
Yes.
About how long does it take you to get home?
About 25 to 30 minutes.
And when you get home, who is downstairs, if anybody? You have a two-story, is it a townhome? Is that the best word for it?
Yes, it's at home.
If anybody is downstairs, who is downstairs?
I saw my daughter Madeline and Stefan.
Do you recall what Madeline was wearing?
No.
And do you recall what Stefan was wearing?
I can't tell you, no.
When you get home from work, do you need to kind of eat a late dinner before you get settled in for bed?
Yes.
And do you eat there at your home?
Yes.
What do you eat?
I think I had a pub sub waiting for me in the house, a sandwich.
Okay. Did anybody join you in sitting down and eating?
No, I ate in my bedroom.
Okay. Did it look like anybody else had recently cooked food or eaten any food there that night?
From what I saw, no. I didn't see anyone cooking, or it didn't look like anyone had been cooking.
Okay. I believe in one of your former interviews you mentioned that Madeline might have gone over with you kind of what she got at the birthday party since you didn't have the chance to go because you were at work.
Mm-hmm.
When and where does that occur?
That occurs.
All right, real quick, I want you guys to focus in on two things. Focusing on her affect, all right? Focusing on her tone of voice. Focusing on how this is a mother that has lost her daughter. All right, this is in April. 2 months prior, she discovered her daughter's dead. Does this woman sound like she has any empathy whatsoever? And I'm going to tell you guys now because, you know what, these shows are so long and there's so much information. I sometimes lose my train of thought. It is what it is. It's just so much to just try and regurgitate to you guys. So I'm going to tell you now. This is probably something that'd be used as a closer, but I'm going to tell you right now. After listening to this entire interview 4 times, I've determined that Stefan Stearns is a deviant, homicidal, pedo maniac. That's Stefan Stearns. I've spoken to hundreds of guys like him throughout my career in both corrections and policing. I've worked on both levels and high levels of both levels. Correction officer, correction investigator, senior investigator, police officer, detective, the whole 9, okay? Hundreds of these dudes. He's running the mill. There's nothing remarkable about him. I've seen guys that have done these cases, spoke to them, interviewed them, whatever. He's not the sociopath. You know who the sociopath is? In my opinion, my personal opinion as a human being, Jen Soto. Does she sound like somebody who just lost a daughter? And it's going to get even more prevalent as she's laughing and giggling throughout this interview. She does not even sound like she lost a child. She doesn't even sound like it. But that's just my opinion, man. Let's keep going.
Like right after I get home, it occurs in my bedroom. Everyone's in my room.
And so by everyone, let's just be clear since I understand you have some roommates. So what do you mean by everyone?
Okay. Madeline, Stefan, and myself were in my bedroom.
Okay. At this point in time, do you recall what Madeline was wearing?
I don't know.
Let me ask it a different way.
She sounded like she talking about the room and arrangements for a summer vacation. Madeline, in my bedroom. I mean, wouldn't the rest of us like, yeah, you sound a little somber, like, yeah, you know, the three of us in the bedroom. You know, it's Madeline and Stefan in my bedroom. No, she sounds cherry. Madeline, in my bedroom. Something's wrong with this lady, man. Something's wrong with her. Let's keep going.
Can you tell me whether or not she was wearing a long-sleeved green sweatshirt and jeans?
Oh, no.
Okay. Would she have kind of been in her bed gear, or do you think she could have still been in the dress that she wore to her birthday celebration?
She would have been in pajamas. I can't recall the exact pajamas, but she would have been in pajamas. She had already, by this point in the evening, she had already showered and changed out of that birthday dress.
And was it your understanding from your sister that she had gotten dropped off about 8:30, she being Madeline?
8:30, 8:45, something around that time, yeah.
And what's your understanding as to when Stefan had gotten there? If you know. If you don't guess, it's fine.
Actually, while he's saying that, this is important. So there's things that you might think should be a certain way, because that's just the way things go. But don't just guess based on past history that it's the same as what happened on that particular day. If you don't know, you don't know.
Then, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what time he got there.
Okay. You were at work, so I just didn't know if, like, sometimes families check in, hey, I made it, by text or by phone call or anything like that. Do you not remember any of that?
I don't remember.
Okay. How long were the three of you in your bedroom?
I'm going to say for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did Madeline tell you about the party?
Now, mind you, she allegedly wanted Maddie back home because she wanted to spend more time with Maddie. Maddie very well could have stayed at her grandmother's house. From my understanding, the grandmother's house may or may not have been closer to the school. All right, that's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I believe the grandmother's house was closer to the school, and the grandmother and her sister would often help her bring Maddie to and from school, depending on Jen's work schedule or whatever else Jen had going on. But she didn't want Maddie. Maddie's birthday party happened. One would think she'd stay over there, spend the night, have a good time, you know, whatever. She brought her home because she allegedly wanted to spend more time with Maddie. Did she spend time with Maddie? She said she saw Maddie for 30 minutes before sending her off to her death. What was the point in bringing Maddie back? What was the point? They're going to get into this. What was the point in having Stefan come over to watch Maddie if Maddie was already at your mother's house, somebody who watches her all the time and could readily and willingly bring her to school? Why bring Stefan 3 hours away from his home to your home just to take her to school in the morning time? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Let's keep going.
She was really happy.
Did she tell you what food they had there at the party?
Yeah, they had her favorites.
What are her favorites?
Puerto Rican food. So arroz con gandules.
All right, so you're going to have to translate to English. I know frijoles and arroz and a couple other things, but help me out.
If I recall correctly, she had requested rice. It's a type of rice and beans. It's rice with pigeon peas.
Okay.
And pernil, which is, I'm not sure how to, it's a pork, but I'm not sure how they cook it.
Okay.
So it's cooked pork. That's typically what she requests for her parties. That's like her favorite meal.
Okay. And what kind of gifts did she get?
She got a lot of money.
Okay.
That's what she ended up showing me. I think she had a few trinkets, but like most of it was just a big wad of money that she was so excited for.
All right. Is there any particular reason Stefan couldn't make it up to the party? Because it's my understanding he didn't exactly work or anything.
He wouldn't have been invited. The party was held at my mom's house, and my mom and him have never had a great relationship. She's never liked him. So he wouldn't have been invited to the party at all. It just would have been my whole family.
There she goes again, destroying my show because she know I got to stop the show and show her love. Big shout out to Grizzly True Crime. She says, lurking while working. Hey, Strategic. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for coming through and showing that love. I got to make my confession, too. I do the same thing. I'm in your chat every day. I'm listening to you every single day. You don't have to do the same for me. No pressure. But I listen to you every day. But 90% of the time, I don't say anything. I just listen. So thank you so much for coming through and showing love to the stream, Grizzly True Crime, the queen of true crime. Thank you so much. We got a full house. We got the docket. We got Grizzly True Crime. It would make my day, and I'd go buy a bottle of champagne if Plunder would just say hi. Are you out there, Plunder? If not, I forgive you. But where are you, Plunder? Then I'd have the trifecta in the room, okay? It would be like the triumvirate, like back in the Roman days, okay? Listen, guys, appreciate you so much for all these big-time YouTubers who are coming through and showing me love. You guys are amazing. And well, none of this is possible without you folks. Because once again, I'm getting all this material from the Plunders, the dockets, and the Grizzly True Crime. That's where you're getting. It's where these pictures behind me are from, the audio you're listening from. It's a team and a collaborative effort. And I really appreciate the fact that these folks are willing to be so generous with their material, and they're not being gatekeepers. They're allowing little guys like me to come knocking on the door and kind of get our voices heard as well. Thank you so much for you guys' generosity and the humbleness that you guys show for the new guys like myself. Let's keep going.
And then me, if I hadn't worked, I would have been there.
Grizzly says some blasphemy. I'm not even going to read that out. You go find that for yourself inside of the chat. I will not read out that blasphemy, even though I am flattered in what she said. But you guys go find that yourself, because I'm not reading it out. Let's keep going.
Okay. Now, during this 30 minutes that the three of you are in your bedroom, is Madeline engaging in any of her kind of nighttime routine, or, getting ready for bed? What else is going on, if anything?
We spent a long time talking about gifts and having her show me, and then we counted out her money. I can't remember if she had finished with all of her bedtime routine.
Okay. Does she brush her teeth at night?
In the shower.
In the shower? Okay. And that occurred before you got home?
Yeah.
And my understanding with her nighttime medication is that's something that you would like to make sure she had bedtime or so?
All right, so they're going to redact some of this stuff. But, guys, me and the True Crime crew, we were looking up a lot of these medications, Marilax, hydroxyzine. These aren't even medications you're supposed to be taking long term. So, number one, I'm wondering, how long has she been taking these medications? Does it just so happen that when this horrible incident happened, that she happened to be taking these at a time that she was prescribed to take it? Like Marilax, you're not supposed to be taking that for long term. In fact, if you're taking it more than 7 days, you might need to consult your doctor. You could be in for some really, really bad side effects. Another thing is the hydroxyzine. I mean, it's not something that will knock you out, but it's like an antihistamine. It's also not for long-term use, but it also has some really bad side effects. So I'm wondering, why is it that she's taking these medications? Like, is it hydroxyzine for her anxiety, which it is used to treat, or is it for her not being able to sleep, which is then something that you normally don't use hydroxyzine? And I'm not a doctor, so any medical doctors in the chat, please correct me, but you don't really prescribe that just for a sleeping issue. It appears to me that she may be taking medications that she may not actually need, or she's overtaking it at the direction of her parents. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion based off the information I have right now. And of course, if there's clarification, I will apologize for this statement if I'm wrong, but I'm not saying it definitively. I'm just giving you guys what's floating around in the top of my brain. Let's keep going.
Something like that, yeah.
So were you present for that occurring, or did that occur after you got home?
That did not occur on my call. I believe I had instructed Maddie when she got home to go ahead and...
We got Plunder in the building. Yeah, I love it, baby. Plunder in the building says, hey, y'all, I'm way back in the chat and about to hit the road, but stopping in to say thanks for all you do. Thank you so, at Strategic Guys. Thank you so much, Plunder. I'm a big fan, Plunder. You don't even know I'm a part of your Patreon. If you guys want the exclusives, go to Plunder's Patreon. Please do subscribe. I am a monthly subscriber. I'm under my real name, so she don't know who I am. I'm lurking, but definitely I subscribe to Plunder, and I'm part of her Patreon. These people are working tirelessly to get us this information. Right now, when it comes to Madeline Soto, the backbone of the information that's being received is coming from Grizzly, Plunder, and the docket. Without them, we don't have this information. I told you guys already, I don't have the thousands of dollars that these folks are putting up to get this information, get this very audio that we're listening to right now. So go support their channel. All right, we got 1,000 people here. Go support them because they're taking that money and they're bringing us the evidence that we need to bring justice to Maddie, or at least awareness to Maddie. We're not the ones bringing justice. That's the law enforcement down there in Florida, but awareness to Maddie so that Maddie's not forgotten, all right? They're not buying Ferraris. They're reinvesting into justice, into truth, into bringing light into the darkness. And that's giving us the information that we need. So big shout out to Plunder, big shout out to the docket, big shout out to Grizzly True Crime. Support their channels, guys. Support them. And GHI 2, let me not forget that guy, GHI 2. Somebody just put it in the chat, May Freeman, GHI 2, all right? Big shout out to GHI. So these guys are getting this information so that I can sit here in my comfortable Walmart chair and analyze what they work hard to bring to this community. All right, big shout out to you guys. Let's keep going.
And take them herself.
Okay. And is that something that she's allowed to do?
From time to time, yeah.
When you say they, is there, what my understanding was there was some hydroxyzine. Is there anything else she takes at night?
Just hydroxyzine.
All right. And the Miralax is when?
Miralax is...
So that would have been earlier while you were at work too if she took it?
Yeah.
May not have because she was at the party?
Yeah, because I had been training at work that week and we had been going back and forth with my mom's a lot, the Miralax wasn't consistent.
Okay. All right. Now, Madeline, does she lay out her clothes for school the next day, or is that something she gets in the morning, makes a game time decision like my kid?
Typically, it is a game time decision morning of.
Okay. What about this specific evening? Do you remember anything about it?
Yes. This evening, we had, I had already discussed prior to Stefan coming to visit that he was going to help me take Maddie to school that day. So because I knew that was what was going to happen that night, I had asked Maddie, pick out your clothes, have everything ready, have your backpack ready, your water bottle, everything you need ready so that way you could just grab your stuff and head out. It won't be too much of a hassle in the...
You know, I think a big part of there's so much we don't know. And listen, I believe in my opinion, without any evidence, it's just my opinion, it's my gut feeling. I believe that she knows more. I believe it. I don't have no proof of it, all right? I'm not telling you this lady is guilty of anything 100%. I'm just telling you it's my opinion. I believe she knew what was happening to Maddie. And one of the things that makes me have this gut feeling is her insistence, her and Stephen Stern's insistence on infanticizing Madeline Soto. Madeline was a bona fide teenager. I have the blessing or the luxury of having a child her age in my home, and then a child slightly older than her who's close to womanhood, and then a much younger one that can't relate to this story really. My middle daughter, my middle child, does not need the preparation. Oh shoot, we got Grizzly Cat in the building. What up, Grizzly Cat? That's like Grizzly True Crime's right-hand man right there. Thank you, Grizzly Cat, for coming through. And it's now a member of the show. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the show. You're awesome. They keep trying to make it look like she can't function unless she's being watched over every second. And I think that's important for them because it justifies why she had to bring Stephen Stern's 3 hours away from home, a 6-hour round trip, in order to help her with her nighttime routines. Because they keep trying to make it look like this girl was somehow developmentally delayed, and she's not. She's in her proper grade. She's functioning with her friends. She has academic issues because she's getting raped every night, and she's dealing with this trauma. She's living, for the most part, most of her life with her abuser, who's taking advantage of her, and she has a neglectful mother. Whether you agree with it or not, she has to be neglectful for this stuff to be happening right underneath her nose. There's no way around it. They keep trying to take away her, I don't know, like her autonomy. I don't know. The word escapes me. They got to make her look like she's a baby. Like she can't function. And I think that's a part of that alibi a little bit, if you want to call it that. Well, he's here because I need the help. Because she can't do these things on her own. And yes, she could. And yes, she did. Let's keep going.
Morning. And so she did. She picked out her clothing. I asked her what she was wearing, and she told me what she had picked out. I said, okay, fine.
All right, so she picks it out, but does she physically take it out of somewhere, wherever she stores her clothes, and put it somewhere?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she took that clothes upstairs with her or anything like that.
All right. So as far you didn't see them in your room, and did you have the opportunity to kind of see her cubby part of the living room to see if she had put them on her bed or anything like that?
I hadn't seen them.
Does Madeline have like a water bottle or a hydro flask or whatever the kids call it that she likes to sleep with and bring up or bring wherever she's sleeping?
Typically not. That stays downstairs in her backpack, and then she'll clean it in the morning and then fill it back up and just leave it in her backpack. That typically stays in the backpack.
Okay. Favorite stuffed animal or stuffed animals? Anything that always goes with her wherever she's sleeping?
She does have a few stuffies and blankies. Did I see any that day?
Yeah, specifically, did you see if she brought any of that stuff upstairs with her?
No.
Scrappy said it correctly. He's a longtime supporter of the show. Agency. That's the word I wanted. They keep trying to take away her agency. She's a big girl. You could leave her alone with a toddler. She could do babysitting. You could leave her with your kids, pay her $10 and go to the movies with your loved one. They're trying to take away her agency. Let's keep going.
See any of that stuff upstairs?
Now, separate question. Generally, habitually, like your attorney was saying, there's a difference between specific memory. But generally, would she do that? Not saying that you saw it that night.
Generally, would she do what?
Have stuffies and blankets and her favorite stuff.
Yes. She typically would.
So if Stefan says something like Maddie's building her nest and getting settled in, would that to you mean like her stuff is part of this nest, or what do you think that would mean, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you recall getting that text from Stefan that night that Maddie had settled into her nest for the night?
I don't remember that text now.
Okay. My understanding was that at some point you told them it was time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Do you recall about what time that was?
Around 11 o'clock.
So that's consistent with getting home at 10:30, having this half-hour discussion and eating your pub sub? Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Do they comply with your wishes to go upstairs when you say that at about 11 o'clock?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Is there any further communication between either you and Madeline or you and Stefan about, all right, kids, it's time to go to bed, anything like that? Or was that the last you had heard from either one of them that night?
I think at some point Stefan comes downstairs to use the restroom and then goes back upstairs, but after that I don't recall interacting or saying anything. So.
Okay. And my understanding is that you had some sort of parental controls over Maddie's phone. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure by parental controls exactly. I didn't have any limits or anything on the phone set up.
Well,
so this is interesting. I want to listen to it because I think the detectives may be alluding to something that they know that she doesn't know or should know and is being evasive about. But let's listen to this.
like for instance, if she wanted to install Game Pigeon, does that have to go through you?
Yeah. So any permissions for any apps she would have to ask me for.
All right, and does that ring a bell as to occurring that Sunday?
Boom. So I think that's a really good question right there. Really good detective. Like I told you guys, these guys are top-notch detectives here. All right. In order for an app to be installed on Maddie's phone, mommy has to approve it on her phone. That's part of the parental controls that she has. Either she has to prove it on her phone or she has to prove it on Maddie's phone. So apparently, it appears, and we're just going to need more information, but I'm surmising, all right? It's my theory. Based off of what he's saying, maybe an app, this app that he mentioned, was installed on her phone during that night, that Sunday. And it was approved in order for it to be installed. So that would then mean that she would have had to been up to approve it. Now, what I need to know is, was that done after 11 o'clock when she says that they were all in bed and she never seen Maddie again? Because if it was approved, either A, Steffens has her ability to approve these apps in his brain, like he knows the password or whatever, or Jen approved it. I don't know what time that app was done, and that's very important, but I assume because they're asking this question that this approval occurred after she says, well, I didn't have no contact with the kid anymore. Let's keep going.
Game Pigeon? Okay. All right. So that's the last time you hear from either one of them until the morning. My understanding is that Stefan comes down and is dealing with your dog. Is there any communication other than perhaps Stefan coming down to use the restroom? Is there any other communication that you have between Stefan and Maddie? Do you see them? Now, I've said communicate. Do you see them? Do you go up and check on them? Do you see Madeline or Stefan from the point you kick them out at 11 p.m. until you see Stefan at 8 in the morning-ish is what you guess for the dog?
Yeah. No, I didn't see them.
Okay. Now, when you go to sleep, do you sleep through the night, or do you wake up and not have consistent good sleep?
I sleep through the night.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any points in time where you get up and you're taking steps or just checking on your phone because you can't go back to sleep? As far as you remember, when you go to sleep, you're out until the dog thing in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear or see anything during those hours involving Stefan or Madeline?
I didn't hear or see anything that night.
All right. What's the first thing you remember when you wake up?
All right, before they transition to the waking up in the morning time, I got to do this PSA. Please hit that like button, guys. We got quite a bit of people who are in the stream showing love. Big shout out to Slime Life, who says building her nest could be code word for something, possibly. We don't know. We're going to figure it out, though, hopefully in time. But especially during the trial, we'll see. But please hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. Support the channel. We're not doing it for our egos. We want to get into that algorithm so that the YouTube gods can start showing this show to a wider audience, all right? That's all we want. We want to grow. We want to get our word out there. We want to be able to be a part of this community. So please hit that like button. Support the channel. All right, let's keep going.
After having gone to sleep?
I wake up to Stefan trying to put the leash on the dog.
Okay. Now, is this the first time that you've ever woken up to Stefan trying to put a leash on your dog, or is that something that has occurred before in the past?
I'm going to say this is the first time. It's not normal for any of us to put the leash on the dog on the bed, because if he's on top.
All right, one more interruption. I'm sorry. I'm trying to let it play out a lot and not interrupt as much until there's really probative things. But I figured out this Nightbot thing, this new bot we have in the chat. If you put more than 3 emojis, it's going to erase your message. Once again, we'll fix that later. Right now, during this live stream, we can't fix it. So if you want to just put emojis, put 3 or less, okay? If you put 4, it's going to delete your message. I figured it out. If you follow what I'm saying, you won't have those issues, and you could definitely put your reactions, and I want you to put your reactions. I love those reactions, but it has to be 3 or less. Otherwise, the bot is going to consider it spamming, and it's going to erase your message, okay? We figured that out. Let's keep going.
Top of any like bed, couch, anything, he'll pee. He gets really nervous. You have to do it on the floor. So I found it really weird that he did that. But
all right, so let me ask it a little more broadly. Is this the first time Stefan's ever come into your room while you're sleeping to take the dog out for you in the morning?
I can't recall if we saw him before.
Okay. Did you find it unusual then, or What did you think when this is occurring?
When it happened, I think I was more, I found it off, but I was more worried over the dog. I was like, please don't pee on the bed. I don't want to do laundry.
Okay.
So I was more anxious over that. He put the dog on the leash and told me to lay down and go back to sleep. And I said, okay.
So were you not laying down when he tells you to go back and lay down?
No, when he put the leash on the dog, I shot off the bed because I was going to help him. I was like, no, let me do it. And he's like, no, go back to sleep. I'm fine. I got this.
Okay.
I said, okay.
Now, do you go back to sleep, or do you check your phone, or do anything?
I think I go back to sleep. I think I look at anything.
In this period of time that you have been awoken by Stefan, do you hear or see anybody else in your household?
I hear somebody in the kitchen. I'm not sure who it was.
Okay. Could you identify it by size, like their steps? Could you identify gender by their voice? Anything like that? Well,
all I heard was sounds of like cabinets shutting, like somebody in there shutting, like looking for something and shutting.
Okay. Now, if your daughter had been awake, would she come in and say goodbye to you before school, or not? Just let you sleep?
Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. Listen to this. Remember, Maddie's gone now. All right? She's already been buried. She's gone. We got memorials up for her. She is no longer with us. And this is her mother. Her mother who has spent 13 years with her. Listen to mommy's response when the detective asked her about whether Maddie would come in and say, have a nice day, Mom, going to school. Check this out.
I would have hoped she would have come by and say goodbye to me.
Is this a laughing matter? Is this a time for you to be flippant? I would have hoped you would have. You know, it is what it is. You know? Oh, well, she didn't come in. I didn't care. I was sleeping. Look, the majority of my demographics that watches this show are females. Adult females between 30 and 70 years old. 35 rather, and 70 years old. We're grown folks. We don't do a kid show here. We're grown. Most of us have kids and grandkids. So now I ask you to look in the mirror and look into yourself. Is this how you would act if you're being questioned on the fact that your child has been horribly tortured most of their life? At this point, she knows that. At this point, she knows everything, ladies and gentlemen. There's no mystery to her. She knows everything that Stefan did from the age it started to the age it stopped to him ending her child's life. And they're asking this story or this question. And in most normal people, they might tear up. They might get more somber. Listen to her response. I'm just going to bring it back a second.
Steps? Could you identify gender by their voice? Anything like that? Well,
All I heard was sounds of like cabinets shutting, like somebody in there shutting, like looking for something and shutting.
okay. Now, if your daughter had been awake, would she come in and say goodbye to you before school, or not? Just let you sleep?
I would have hoped she would have come by and say goodbye to me. I can't remember if this is one of the first times that Stefan actually took her to school, so.
All right, you can't remember it's the first time I took to school. This is crazy. But anyway, so inappropriate. Big shout out to this young lady, Anne, who asks, has Jennifer made any money off of Maddie? If you're talking about like money outside of this, like interviews and stuff, I don't know. I don't know. I know that there was a GoFundMe, and there are rumors. I don't have any direct knowledge of this. I didn't donate to the GoFundMe, but there are rumors that that money was not used for the funeral, etc. I don't know. That may not be true. People are saying that she may have taken that money. I do not subscribe to that because I don't have that evidence, all right? That's just internet rumors. Other than that, I've not heard of her writing any books, movie deals, paid interviews, or anything like that that could say that she benefited monetarily from her daughter's passing. And of course, there's no evidence that she participated in selling any illicit materials that involved her daughter. Otherwise, she would be charged at this moment. So big shout out to you for the super chat. It says NOK59. I don't know what type of currency that is, but I'm very grateful that you have contributed to the Strategic Eyes show and you believe in our mission and you're helping us. Callie says, it says Callie, but said he had taken her before in other interviews. Okay, Jen? Don't really understand that. I don't know if I'm reading it incorrectly. Try and rephrase it, and Aki will go ahead and put that up. Callie's a supporter of the show. We do love you, Callie. But try and be a little more clear, and then Aki will put it up, and I'll try and answer your question. We got 1,300 people watching the show right now. Please hit that like button, support the channel. We really appreciate everybody who is supporting us right now, everybody who's hit the like button, everybody who's hit us off with super chats and super stickers, who's assisting us in staying afloat, and everybody who's decided to become a member. 5 people so far have decided to become a member. Our lowest tier is 99 cents. Consider becoming a member of Strategic Eyes Show. It's one of the lowest membership costs out there. We do have higher tiers, and you get more bang for your buck the higher you decide to contribute to. But to get into the family and to get exclusive content, it's just 99 cents. I couldn't lower it any further. YouTube would not allow me. So 99 cents will make you a member. We appreciate everybody who decides to become a member of the show. Let's keep going.
I would have hoped she would have said good night, but I'm not sure.
All right, so do you fall back asleep?
I do.
And when do you wake up and how do you wake up?
I wake up at like 9 o'clock in the morning to my alarm. I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to my alarm. I get ready. I think at around 9:30, 9:45, I leave for my doctor's appointment.
Okay. So in this period of time from when you're waking up and getting ready, do you see anybody else in your home?
At this point, I'm not too sure. I know throughout the day I've seen my roommate in the kitchen cooking and doing her thing, but I don't recall if it was at this time.
Did you see your daughter this morning on the 26th?
No.
Did you have any texts or phone calls or any other type of communication through any possible app on your phone? Like, hey mom, love you at school, whatever. Any communications from Madeline?
Anything from her? Nothing.
All right. How about from Stefan by the time that you wake up at 9? Any texts or communication from him? Maddie's dropped, I'm off to the game store or whatever he's doing?
No. I didn't hear back from Stefan until 10:20ish, and he had told me he left his phone at home that whole morning by accident. And I had asked him how the morning went, how was Maddie, and he let me know that this morning went great. We made great time. She got busy super quick. He was going to take her to McDonald's for breakfast, but
she's once again parroting the script that I believe, in my opinion, they made together. Because she's too good with the script. All right? When you're telling somebody else's story, you're going to miss details. We already went over this. You look at the script, and it's exactly the same as what he says. That's rehearsed. All right? Big shout out to Ivana Street, ST, with the super sticker, $1 super sticker. Thank you so much. And big shout out to Lisa Dempsey, who gifted 1 True Crimes membership to 1 lucky person. And I believe Insta Justice True Crime and Trials was gifted that membership. So Insta Justice, please make sure that you show love to Lisa Dempsey and you tell her thank you for that gift membership. Let's keep going.
she changed her mind. All she wanted to do was sleep in the car, so he let her sleep. Took her to school and dropped her off where he said he dropped her off, and that was it.
And you had a 10:15 appointment for a blood draw?
Yes.
And did you go anywhere else prior to getting to your appointment for your blood draw? Did you go directly there or not directly there? That's basically the question.
Oh, I went directly there.
And after your blood draw, did you go directly back home?
Yes.
About what time did you get home?
Sometime between 11:15 and 11:30.
Did you have any other appointments or doctor's appointments later in the day?
I was supposed to have had one, but I canceled it
When did you cancel it?
that same day
Why did you cancel it?
because it was a $350 Botox appointment that I didn't want to spend the money on. I changed my mind last second.
Okay. When you get home from your blood draw appointment, is there anybody else at your home?
When I get home from blood draw, yes, Stefan was home.
All right. And can you describe what he's wearing, what he's doing, his demeanor, what's going on?
Before she gets into that, big shout out to Slime Life with a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you so much. Let's keep going.
I can't recall what he's wearing. It might be a red shirt with a graphic on it.
Okay.
He's sitting in my bedroom on my desk.
Prior to you getting there, he's in your room? Or is that where you guys go to talk?
That he was hanging out there in my room.
Okay.
My room is kind of like the general hangout spot.
Okay.
I walk into my room. He's sitting there on the computer chair. He's talking, acting normal, asking about the morning and how everything went, and that he let me know the errands that he ran that morning or what he was up to.
And what did he say he was up to?
He said he had dropped Maddie off at school and then afterwards went to a vape shop so he can buy vaping things.
Okay.
But that the store wasn't open.
Once again, back to the script, ladies and gentlemen. And listen, I'm going to tell you guys this because this is going to be a long show and I want to make sure that people get this information, okay? I'm not trying to hold information for, entertainment purposes. I'm giving it to you as it's coming in my head. This is one of multiple interviews. I believe that this is one of multiple interviews. And there are other interviews, like the one where she says it's not evil for the sex and stuff like that. This is one of multiple interviews. And they're going to be, the reason why they're not hammering her on, did you know that he was having sex with Maddie? Did you know that he killed Maddie? They're not going to do that in this interview. And all of you guys have already heard this interview already. The reason why they're not doing that is because they want to be able to go back to her attorney and say, listen, Frank, I'm making a name up. You guys know the name of the attorney. I forgot his name. Listen, Frank, we spoke to her. We asked her preliminary questions. These are like preliminary questions, really, going through what happened all over again. And she still was untruthful about X, Y, and Z. Please, please tell her, listen, I got to take this. Hold on. That's my daughter. Let me pause this. So my baby girl doesn't usually call me when she's at school. This is the oldest. She's about to be a woman in a few years. She said, if I come home and you eat my food, we're going to have a problem, Daddy. I'm like, I'm on a live, man. I'm not eating your food. Kids, man. Kids. Anyway, back to what I was saying. They're going to go back to her attorney, and they're going to say, listen, she lied on X, Y, and Z. You need to lay it down with her that this is immunity. We're not going to charge her because it takes time for people to understand what immunity means. And people don't listen to their attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you got an attorney doesn't mean you're going to listen to everything your attorney has to say. These interviews, these proffers take time. When I've done proffers in the past, it was 2, 3, 4, 5 interviews sometimes before we finally got the goods, before we got them to a point where they're like, okay, I'm the queen of the day. At that point, it was queen of multiple days, okay? But I am I really am the queen. Okay, I did all this stuff. And this is the information you want on the person that you're making the deal with me for. And I'm good. I let it all out of my system. I'm not going to be charged. You got what you need to prosecute your case. We all good. A deal is a deal. It takes time. There's under no circumstances that Jen Soto was going to be 100% truthful in this first interview. That's why I'm telling you guys, she's not going to be charged for the lies she made in this, because we expect them not to be 100% truthful. We expect them not to trust their attorney when their attorney says, listen, this is a great opportunity. You won't be charged if you tell the truth. This is a process, and this is the first step in that process of her coming forward and admitting what she knew, what she did not know, what she's culpable in and what she's not culpable in, because most people don't even know that this type of interview exists, that this legal process exists. And so naturally, she's going to not give everything that she has. Big shout out to Caroline P., who gave us 5 gift memberships out there. And big shout out to Nikki1130 with a $5 super chat. She said, strategic, you're the man. My new favorite channel. Thank you for all that you're doing for your professional take on this crime. Thank you so much. And one more, and that's it. Cool. All right. And a big shout out to Cubic Z Painter, who is now a Strategic Eyes member. Let's keep going.
And so he waited a long time for them to open. They never did. So he drove around, killed time, and then eventually made it back to my house at like 10:20. When later on, when I got home and he was home, we started discussing, or he started telling me that he was going to go back out to run a few more errands in a little bit down 192, and he gave me the name of a few stores that he might stop at, and I'm like, okay. I asked him if he wanted to meet me at my house by 2:30 so that we can go pick up Maddie from school together. And he said, yeah, he'll be back by 2:30. And I said, okay.
So was that the plan, to get her together, or was it ever discussed that he would get her alone?
The plan was for us to get her together.
Okay. All right. And so does he leave before you leave?
Actually, before this, while we were still discussing, while we were having the conversation in my room, he did mention at one point, while he was sitting there, that he had to reboot his phone, or that he had to update his phone.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? He had to update his phone. So I told him, stop avoiding it, do it. Like, updates take a while. Like, do it.
All right, even she can't buy this. And even her subconscious is telling her, like, this is a bullcrap story. This is a bullcrap story in terms of the whole resetting of the phone. Somebody in the chat says, Strategic, please don't limit your commentary. We already saw this. We want to hear your commentary. The reason why I'm not giving that much commentary is because it's not time yet. I got my notes here. All the stuff happens after the 32-minute mark. That's when the good stuff happens. That's when all the crazy stuff that she says happens. So yeah, no, there's nothing to comment here. Most of the stuff is bull crap. We know it's bull crap. We know she's not saying anything. Believe me, I haven't skipped for a reason. We're going to play this through. And then when it starts getting probative, that's when we're going to start talking. So yeah, I appreciate you. I'm flattered. Thank you. But I'm here for the long haul. I'm not cheaping on you with this one. I'm here for the long haul. And when it starts getting juicy, we're going to start talking about it. Let's keep going.
And while he was updating his phone, he said, I don't know what I did, but I just factory reset my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's weird. I didn't know that you could do that. He said, yeah, a button popped up and I pressed it and it just reset my entire phone. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
So does he leave before you do to go do these errands he was telling you about?
Yes, he does leave.
Do you stay at home until it's time to go get Madeline?
Yes.
Do you hear anything from Stefan while he's out doing these errands?
No.
So 2:30 rolls around. Is Stefan back home yet?
No. At this point, I leave.
Do you try and call him or text him or communicate with him?
Yeah, I had been calling him like maybe starting 15 minutes before I was supposed to leave just to see where he was.
Did he answer?
No. I leave at 2:30. Around 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from him. And he said, I'm so sorry. I left my phone at home again on accident. I I was driving down 192 and my tire exploded or shredded, and I had to pull over into one of the plazas and change my tire. He said he hurt his thumb doing that. Okay. And that, he was late and didn't make it back on time for that reason.
All right. When you leave to go pick Madeline up at 2:30, do you take her phone with you?
I do.
And how is it that you come to get her phone to go with you?
At some point in the morning, I was organizing and putting things away, and I walked into her bedroom and I saw her phone on her dresser. And I just assumed, oh, she must have left it here while getting dressed and forgot it.
Okay. Was it on?
Yes.
And sometimes when you bump or move phones, the notification screen comes up. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to do that, and did you see if there was any incoming notifications that she had missed?
I hadn't seen any, no.
Okay. All right. So you go to school, and due to time constraints, like an NFL football game, we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. My understanding is that you want to be first in line, mm-hmm. and you have to get there early to do that, and I understand that.
Yeah.
She doesn't come out.
She doesn't know.
Did you call her phone?
I did.
Why did you do that?
Because I forgot I had it with me. I was like, where is she? Why isn't she out yet? So I start calling her phone, and then I start realizing I'm hearing vibrating, and then I look down, and I see her phone's with me. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
How am I going to get a hold of her? Because I'm the first in line. The cars behind me already have children. They're full. They're waiting for me to leave.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to kind of jump ahead.
All right, so she's stressing that to make us, believe that it's understandable why she would break out, even though her daughter's missing. You pull up on a sidewalk. Who cares if some school resource officer gives you a ticket? Who cares? You pull up on a sidewalk. You go investigate the reason why your child is not there. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I want to find something for you guys. I'll let her keep talking, but I'm going to find some pictures that we got from the True Crime Research Crew that's going to kind of show you that this is a lie. Actually, this wasn't from our research crew. It's from a viewer. I'm going to find it from a viewer, and I'm going to show it to you guys. Give me a second. Let's keep it playing.
Did Madeline ever complain to you about believing that Stefan had taken her Christmas money?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Christmas money went missing, and we were both, I don't even know how to explain this. We had collected all of her envelopes with Christmas money and consolidated into one. I'll put all her money into one.
Yep.
And then I said, I will put this somewhere safe, and I thought I had put it in my nightstand. A few days later comes around, whatever. We start looking for it or asking for it or something like that, and we can't find it. We can't find it at all.
So let me just narrow it down. Did she accuse Stefan of taking it?
I'm not sure if she did directly. We both had the suspicion, but we're like, no, could he have? No, I don't think so. But I eventually found that money.
Okay.
I mean, but think about that, right? You're involved with somebody who you feel might steal from your daughter, and you're still involved with him. I want to show you something. It's going to come up, but I want to show it to you right now, if it's okay with you beautiful people. This was sent to me by a subscriber, not a part of the research crew. He doesn't have our branding on there, Strategic Eyes Research Crew. But I really appreciate that they sent this. This kind of blows a hole in her story that the school was closed when she came back the second time around. Remember, she goes to the school, which they're talking about right now. She's the first one in line. It's taking too long for Maddie to come out. She then feels like Maddie's not coming out. So instead of going into the school that's currently active and open, with kids being released, where the principal's outside. Remember, recess time, the principal usually comes out. The vice principals, the deans, they're usually out there. Some teachers who got this extra duty are out there, mostly the younger school teachers. It's like how it works across the country. And they're out there coordinating the buses and the children who are being picked up from their parents, etc. They're out there. Rather than Jen Soto pull over to the side, go into the back of the school where there's a parking lot. We looked at this with the overview maps and all that good stuff. Other YouTubers have also mapped it out and showed it to you. You are as proficient in this area as the people who actually live there. Rather than she do that, she decided to drive off, call little kids, call her daughter's phone that's in right next to her in the cup or wherever she have it in the other seat, who knows. Go to her mother's job, call her mother's job, the whole nine. Rather than pull over, she leaves. And then she says she comes back later after going by the mother's job. And the school was shut down. Well, this shows that school ain't shut down till at least 6 in the night, because it has after school programs. And that's when the program ends. You know, still going to be people linger around in that school. So they do have a before care, like most schools, and an aftercare program. So I don't believe it. It's my opinion that she's lying, that there was somebody at the school that she could talk to. There was somebody there. But anyway, let's keep going. Bring you guys back. Let's keep playing.
I was just going to, how did the mystery end? All right. So you had just started this job at Disney Coronado Springs like a week or two earlier, is that right?
Yes.
And your sister and other family members would help with Maddie getting to school because of your job?
Yes, my mom and my sister, yes.
Okay. Why is it that now Stefan on February 26th is coming up to help as opposed to any of your family members helping getting Madeline to school?
I had asked for him to come and help me because I think I was working a lot of night shifts or like really late shifts.
Perfect. Really good question by this detective. You got this whole support structure that lives within walking distance. I'm not gonna exaggerate. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's walking distance. That lives within your community. Driving distance. You have a whole support structure of family members. Why did you call Stefan up?
And I just wanted the opportunity to see Maddie, like, because I wanted to spend more time with my daughter throughout the week while I was working, versus had she had stayed at my mom's, I wouldn't have seen her all week.
Okay.
So that was just me wanting to see her and spend time with her.
Did Madeline stay at your mom's house fairly frequently?
Every few weekends here and there, like just for the weekend kind of thing.
So like if she described it to her friends as like her second home and like kind of offer up it's better jacuzzi and pool, does that sound like that's the place?
Yes.
Where does Madeline...
Truth be told, inside of the chat, I have no way of verifying this. If they're not being honest, shame on them, but they seem like a pretty mature adult from their picture. They said, exactly, I have subbed at that school in the past, and I knew she lied right there because after school is open. So this is a person who's claiming that they have substitute teacher at that school. So did Jen. Jen was a substitute teacher at that school too for a time. And she said it's open, but let's keep going.
sleep when she's over at your mom's?
She will sleep in bed with my mom.
Okay. Did she ever have sleepovers? Like have friends come over and sleep over?
Slumber parties, no.
Did she ever go and attend any?
No.
Is there any particular reason? I mean, she's a 12-year-old girl on the cusp of being 13.
Yeah, I've been very uncomfortable with sleepovers just because I know what can happen. Anything can happen in a sleepover.
Well, then you can be the host house like we kind of were. You never hosted.
All right, so this person said it 2 times. Please don't say things multiple times like that because the bot is going to block you. When we read the document dump with all the interviews, they said that Jen had subbed at that school. If I'm mistaken, it is what it is. But I distinctly remember the teacher saying they remember Jen from subbing at the school. Okay, so unless you could quote that that's not what happened, you're being inaccurate and you're misleading the audience. If I'm wrong, then I will apologize because I'm not God, I'm just a man. But we went over this, we read all of those statements, and in the statement, it said that Jen had subbed 1 time at that school. Let's keep going.
Did any sleepovers for her friends?
For her friends, no.
Did she ask about it?
Yeah, she did ask.
Was it probably a source of contention or arguments?
It was, I guess what was the source of argument is her and she wanted to really sleep over her best friend's house, and I just kept saying no, no, no. You never know what could happen. I don't know the dad. I don't know the brother. I don't know anybody there. Like I don't know what could happen to you. So, just afraid of her getting assaulted.
Okay. Did Madeline do her own laundry?
Yeah.
Did she cook for herself?
I was teaching her how to make a few things, so I mean.
All right, excellent work by the detective right now. Excellent work. You guys know when these guys do a bad job, I will critique them. I will critique them if they do a bad job. These guys are doing an excellent job. Right now, he's breaking down the lack of agency narrative that Jen and Stefan keep trying to put forward on Maddie, that she don't have agency. She has no independence. She needs to be fully supervised. Put that chat back up there, moderator, because I want to go ahead and refer back to it. Put that back up there. I'm going to get to that. He's breaking that down. Does she cook for herself? Does she do this? Excellent job. I'm going to bring it back just a minute, and I want you guys to hear that again. Excellent job by the detective.
It can happen in a sleepover.
Well, then you can be the host house like we kind of were. You never hosted any sleepovers for her friends?
For her friends, no.
Did she ask about it?
Yeah, she did ask.
Was it probably a source of contention or arguments?
All right, my mods took it down, but I found it. Nikki Cherie says, yes, she did sub. A male teacher said he met her once when she subbed for him. Yes, and the mods put it back up again. Thank you so much. And they put somebody else. Nicole said a male teacher in an interview stated Jen subbed for his class. So yes, we read that. We went over it. Jen was a substitute teacher for that school. So she knew the ins and out of the school better than the other parents who were there, unless they're like involved in the PTA. She knew what time the school started. Because remember, as a sub, she has to be there when the school starts. As a sub, she has to be there when the school ends. As a sub, she's going to be meeting administrators so they could talk about whatever administrative stuff they got to talk. She knew the ins and out of the school. She knew that there would still be people there at that school at the time that she went back to the school to see if somebody was there for her to talk to. So yes, that is fact, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep going.
It was, I guess what was the source of argument is her and she wanted to really sleep over her best friend's house, and I just kept saying no, no, no. You never know what could happen. I don't know the dad. I don't know the brother. I don't know anybody there. Like I don't know what could happen to you. So, just afraid of her getting assaulted.
Okay. Did Madeline do her own laundry?
Yeah.
Did she cook for herself?
I was teaching her how to make a few things, so I mean, yeah, she could, I guess.
Okay. What's her normal routine for getting ready for bed?
We give her her meds.
I'm sorry, take your time.
We get ready for bed. I'd give her her medication. She would get in the shower.
Take a long shower, I understand.
Like an hour plus, yeah.
Okay.
She loved it.
Mallory made a really good point, and I was actually in my notes. I was going to make that point as well. The only time Jen Soto gets upset, ladies and gentlemen, is when she's asked tough questions. That is the only time she gets upset. She starts talking softly, etc., when she's put on the spot and asked tough questions. Keep going.
She'd get out, she'd get dressed, she'd let her hair towel dry for a while, and then she would brush it. We would watch some TV. She'd probably have a snack before bed as well.
Okay. What were kind of her nighttime uniforms? I mean, everybody kind of has their pajamas, but they're not necessarily pajamas. What was her routine nightwear?
She really liked wearing shorts. So she had a few pajama outfits, but she really liked wearing shorts and baggy.
You guys seen that transition? She went from crying, somber, to once a soft question came right after that to, oh, she wears this and she wears that, she wears that. You got, this lady is mentally ill, but she's not mentally ill the way she's trying to sell it to us. Oh, I'm bipolar, I'm depressed, I'm this, that, and third. She's a sociopath. She doesn't have any empathy. She's simply pretending to have empathy. She doesn't have real empathy. She really didn't really care about Maddie, in my opinion, guys. Look how she switched from somber to crying to soon as us. All right, next question. What does she like to wear? Oh, she likes to wear this, that, and the third. No problem. This is sick. This is sick. Understand, like, look at the interviews that Stephen Stearns gave. He actually maintained a somber disposition throughout the interview. Monotone. Oh my God. Oh, woe is me. Oh, hold on. I took my medication last night and my brain is really foggy. That was his affect the entire interview. Whereas one moment she's happy, one moment she's sad, one moment it's like she's talking about her daughter who, you know, is playing soccer and has just won a scholarship to go to college, like it's a joyous occasion. The next moment she's crying. Her affect is all over the place, guys. And she's most comfortable with the softball questions where she sounds like what? Scripted. 100% prepared and scripted. And the moment she's asked a tough question, she pauses, she slows it way down so she could think about her answers, and then she gives you a very low, monotone response. And that is not the symptoms of bipolar. A bipolar person can have a regular conversation with you. When they're acting manic, they're acting manic. When they're on their lows, they're on their lows. But that doesn't mean that when they're supposedly stable on their medication right now and you're having a conversation with them, that they're going to be loopy like that. That's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Big shout out to Pray Every Day who gave me a $3 super stick. Appreciate you. Let's keep going.
T-shirts.
Okay. How about her routine getting ready for school in the morning? What's that about?
We'd wake up, the alarm would start ringing around 7:30. We'd snooze it up until 8 o'clock. Then she'd get up, she'd get dressed, and then she'd lay back down in bed while she would wait for me to make her breakfast.
So she's a breakfast eater?
Yeah.
Okay.
She'd have breakfast, then she would start, with brushing her hair, brushing her teeth, putting on makeup. At night, I would give her ADHD medications for school.
Is that every day or just school days? So it sounds like you're heading out like 8:45 or 9?
Yes.
And it takes like, what did you say, 15, 20 minutes to get to school?
Yes.
And first bell's 9:38?
9:20.
Something like that?
9:20,
Okay.
yeah.
So on Monday the 26th, 7:30 seems like a really early time to depart to go to middle school, even if you're getting Mickey D's. What was the discussion about when Stefan and Madeline were going to leave on the 26th?
There wasn't one.
So you didn't know anything about these plans, or did you? Or
I knew that they were going to go to McDonald's, but not 7 o'clock in the morning. That wasn't.
okay.
I had assumed like 8 o'clock.
I don't think, I just don't feel as though this conversation ever happened. I think this is a part of that whole alibi thing that they cooked up together. This is what I believe. It's my opinion. I just don't, it just seems too contrived to me. It seems too contrived. It just doesn't make sense. It just seems to kind of play into what Stefan kind of like said, hey, this is what we're going to say. This is what we're going to do. Especially when you have this text message that they're going to get into later. Once again, I'm bouncing around. We're going to listen to it through, but I'm bouncing around because this is going to be a long live. I don't want you guys to feel like I'm withholding information. But especially when we get to that text message when she's like, hey, listen, I can't sleep with Maddie anymore because it's too risky. That seems like a very incriminating statement, and I'm going to dive deeper into that when we get to that point. But it seems like they were both complicit, but there's just not much evidence. And that evidence is like written, text, phone. It doesn't seem like it exists. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Not everybody talks about these things on the phone or through text. Especially when they lived together for so long, they didn't need to memorialize these statements via text message, these misdeeds. It seems like this was a contrived story. I don't know. Let's keep going.
But even then, 8 o'clock is kind of early, like 8:30, because you could just go to McDonald's, be done by 9, and then drop her off at school. But the McDonald's is right a block away from the school. So
Madeline's not driving, so she can eat while she's riding.
Yeah. So I don't.
And she takes about an hour to get ready in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
So if they were leaving at 7:30, you'd think she'd have to get up at 6:30 to get ready and go through a routine, right?
Yeah, that's extremely early.
Okay. And is that what Stefan told you after these events unfolded? Was that they left early, like 7:30? What did he ever tell you?
It was early. I can't remember the time. I think I dropped her off in front of her school sometime between 8:15 and 8:45.
You say I. What do you mean by that? Did you drop her off that morning?
No, I'm speaking. Sorry.
Okay.
She's still going with the script. Remember, all that stuff where she's putting herself in there to give him an alibi? All right, the best alibis have witnesses, right? That could say that you were somewhere at some time. They could testify that you're not guilty because you were here at this time. She keeps with the we, with the I, and even though she's in this compelled testimony where she has this limited form of immunity, she still can't help herself because she's scripted. This is all scripted, in my opinion. She is scripted. This is not what really happened. This is what she wants us to believe happened based off the contrived story from this guy, Stefan Stearns. The doc is in the building, said, I got to bounce, y'all. Great live. Thank you so much for coming through, Docket. You are amazing. I appreciate you for coming through, showing love to my channel, man. We'll see you on the flip side. Let's keep going.
As what Stefan was telling me. Stefan let me know that he dropped her off sometime between 8:15 and 8:45 on the road by the church close to her school. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking him, why so early? That's too early. School doesn't start until 9:30. Why did you drop her off that early? Oh, I don't know. We just left the house and made good time. I wasn't paying attention to the clock.
Okay. Did Madeline ever have like effects from taking the hydroxyzine in the morning? Like still be kind of sluggish?
Yes.
How often would that occur? Was that like every morning or not every morning?
Not every morning. If we happen to give her medication later than normal than routine, that would happen. But
okay. And were there ever any instances where she had taken too much of the medicine? Perhaps you and Steph.
All right, so this is good. And we might start bouncing around just a little bit only because of time. We're already at 2 hours, and you guys know I can't last a 3-hour show. Like, I'll start getting sluggish and all that good stuff. I'm an old man. I'm not 25 anymore. I'm in my 40. All right, I'm at the big 40, guys. So you got to bear with me, okay? So this is important because he's going to talk about the medication and about him, Stefan Stearns, giving her extra dose. Then after that, we're going to go to the 40-minute mark, all right? I apologize. I know I said I was going to play it all the way through, but most of you have already watched this, and we are coming up on time, okay? We're already at 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Stefan had given her medicine, not knowing that the other person had?
yes, that's happened once before.
Just once or more?
I want to say once.
Okay. Were you taking medicinal marijuana in pill form at any point, or THC?
Yes.
And what do those pills or tablets or capsules look like?
They're purple capsules.
Did you ever suspect or confront Stefan about giving those medications to Madeline?
No.
So during this incident where Madeline had been double dosed with hydroxyzine, do you recall any conversation you had with Stefan and inquiring as to whether or not he had accidentally given her any of your THC?
That hadn't occurred to me.
All right, so they either found that in her system or they got that from text messages that they were able to dump from those phones, from Cellbrite and those phones. They're asking that question, and this is why I'm telling you guys why pregnancy is a big part of this. Because every question they're asking is relevant, it's probative. We don't ask throwaway questions, all right? These are probative questions that are based off of information that has been obtained from the evidence, all right? You're not just going to ask about somebody's menstrual because you're curious about their cycle, all right? It has to be relevant to it. There's no rule that says it has to be, but we have a limited amount of time to do these interviews. You can't be there all day because then somebody can say, well, I'm under duress because I've been here for 5 hours and I haven't had anything to eat and they didn't let me use the bathroom and I couldn't smoke a cigarette and I couldn't take my medical pills and all that good stuff. Throw everything out that I said in court because I was under duress. You have to have these interviews in a reasonable amount of time, especially when an attorney is sitting next to that subject. So every question that they've asked is probative in their eyes. That's why pregnancy is such a big part of this case now. Whether you believed it in the past and now or not, you better believe it now because they're asking about it and it's probative. But let's keep going. That means they found marijuana in her system, or they have seen text messages between Maddie, her mom's, Stefan, mom, etc., discussing giving this little girl marijuana.
I had asked him the one morning Maddie wouldn't wake up and get ready for school and she was just out of it. I assumed it was medication related, but I didn't realize, I'm like, did this one medication hit her too hard because we gave it to her late? I called poison control. I needed to see what would happen. Because at this point, I think I had gotten Stefan to admit that he gave her a second dose of the sleeping meds as well, because he thought I had given it to her in the first place.
Okay.
But that was with hydroxyzine. I didn't know anything about THC, the marijuana.
I'm just asking you.
Oh.
I'm asking if you remember having that conversation, because there is a conversation on your phone about you were relaying that Madeline said that she suspected that it was different bigger pills, and you relayed that to Stefan and had a conversation with him. And if you don't remember it because it was a year ago, that's fine.
All right, so there we go. So they're addressing that. It's from the emails, the text messages. Somebody just put up a really interesting question. It was highlighted by the mods. It's Anita Blackstone says, you keep showing a piece of art with the girl and the wolf. Isn't that telling of Stefan? Maddie is the girl and Stefan is the wolf in the pic. Poor Maddie. I don't believe that. Let me put that up there real quick. I don't think that that's Maddie. Let me go ahead and fix this so I can make it a little bigger. It's a little bit bigger. I could be wrong. You guys could be right. I'm just telling you my opinion. I don't think that that's Maddie. I think the wolf is Stefan Stearns. I think this bunny that's leaning up on this wolf and is complicit with this wolf and making baby bunnies, that's Jen Soto. That's his partner in crime. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's not a little baby innocent bunny. That's a naughty bunny. That's a bunny that's complicit with this big bad wolf. And based off of what we're hearing, does Jen Soto sound like a poor, innocent bunny? Or does she sound like the type of sexualized, complicit bunny that would be leaning on this big bad wolf, making poor little innocent bunnies? That's my opinion. Might be a little too esoteric for you. Maybe totally wrong, but that's what I believe. I believe she's an accomplice. And they think it too. That's why they're trying to give her immunity. You don't give cooperating witnesses that have done nothing wrong immunity. You don't give it to them. There's nothing to give. They're innocent. They've done nothing wrong. It is what it is. How many times does a little child get molested by a boyfriend or a stepfather or a husband or a biological father, and the mother's working hard at work, has no idea? And guess what? We interview them as police and they prove, I have nothing to hide. I had no idea this is happening. And now that I know what's happening, I'm cooperating 1,000%. And I want this bastard to go to jail for the rest of his life. We don't offer them immunity because they did nothing wrong. They're offering her immunity because they believe that she's hiding something and they want to coerce her to tell them what she's hiding. That's why they're offering her immunity, ladies and gentlemen. She is that naughty bunny that's leaning on the big bad wolf. That's just my opinion, though. Let's keep going.
My next question is, you have 2 female roommates?
Yes.
And one of them has a child, a son that sleeps part-time over there?
Yes.
And so my understanding is they're kind of, it's like a, I don't know what to call it, like a bed and breakfast. There's numbers on the doors upstairs.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, to make it.
I don't know. Yeah. It's not something to laugh about. Like, yo, we rent our rooms, so we number the rooms. It is what it is.
Easier for the roommates. I just labeled each bedroom.
So they're in 2 and 3.
Yes.
All right. Now, bedroom number 4. At one point, you told the police that your sister was staying with you, and that's why the sleeping arrangements were as they were. Was your sister ever staying with you, or did I misunderstand what you said?
No, my sister wasn't staying with me.
Okay. So let me ask you this. At what point did Madeline's bedroom kind of become the living room? When did that setup start?
I think as soon as a few months.
M. Oslin said, you understand that this is a random pic he has on his phone, not a painting of Jen. We know that, so you don't understand. It's something he found somewhere on it. I think everybody is in agreement that we know that it's not a painting of Jen, and that's not a painting of actual representation of Stephen Stearns. But we believe people do download things and process things that can express their inner feelings. So we're basically looking at that esoterically, saying, hey, this is a representation, we believe, of these two people. That's probably why he gravitated to it and decided to download it. So I hope that makes that clear. Nobody's saying that Stephen drew that, or that was an actual painting of Jen Soto or Maddie or even Stephen Stearns. All right, just want to make that clear.
Into us moving back into that townhouse.
And when would that have been?
All right, sorry to stop it again. Just want to clarify because I don't want to misread anybody. M. Oslin said no strategic people in the chat were saying that, so I stand corrected. M wasn't saying that generally for all of us. M was trying to address people inside of the chat who were under that misinterpretation, but I hope I made it clear for all of you guys as well. It's what I just said. All right, guys? Appreciate you, M. Oslin, for going ahead and clarifying that for me. Let's keep going.
Let's see, June of. Sometime in 2022, but I'm not sure when.
Okay. It's my understanding that it's December of 2022 that you and Stefan kind of break up,
Yes.
but he still remains in the townhome.
Yes.
Why is that?
All right, so now they're going to get into this weird kind of like relationship that they had where it's like she wanted him to be a sister wife or something like that, you know, like this platonic kind of, you know, community raising of Maddie. It's just really weird. It's really weird because Maddie had a father, and I've spoken about that in the members section. I've spoken about it in the live show for everybody else. You want to get my feelings on that, please become a member. You can check out the wealth of information that we put in the members and my feelings about these things that may not be appropriate for the live chat, but she did have a father, okay? So the fact that she's going to go into in these next few minutes about how, you know, he's basically a loser and she's trying to do charity to help him get his life together because really the only real job he ever had was Disney, in a very, very, very low entry-level position at Disney. Even his father said that, where he was making $31,000 a year, which is not enough to survive in America at this point, right? At least on your own, all right? It's a start. If that's all you can get, I respect all people who work. So I'm not shaming people who work a job. A job is godly. You are working, you are a part of the American engine in whatever capacity that you're working. But in reality, certain salaries will not allow you to live the American dream. And so he's making $31,000 a year. That's not a lot of money. That's that's poverty, okay? And so she basically says, hey, Stephen Stearns was a loser and I felt sorry for him and I wanted to give him a place to live. And then she also said that at some point that they were talking about him coming back to live with her so they could raise Maddie together in this kind of platonic type situation because Jen had moved on. And since she moved on and she was with other people sexually, this kind of blows a big hole in this whole premise that her medications made her not want to be sexual. Her medications made her not want to be sexual. Lie, because you're out there having sex with other people. But let's keep going. It's unbelievable.
So even though we were broken up, I still considered him one of my best friends. I wanted to give him the opportunity to live there, and he had gotten a job at Disney and was doing well.
Okay.
And I didn't want him to continue to lose that because he had been struggling for a long time to get a job or do anything because his own mental health issues.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give him a chance to like do something, be something. So
Did he pay rent?
yes,
How much rent did he pay?
$600 a month.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Here from
No footsies.
like long ways.
So in December of 2022, kind of when the breakup happens, prior to that, what were the sleeping arrangements in your home? Was he sleeping in your bedroom as a couple?
Yes.
So who's in bedroom number 4, if anybody?
I think that room remained empty for a while. For a little bit, there was another roommate there, but it remained empty for the most part.
And were your female roommates already there in 2 and 3?
Yes.
Why doesn't Madeline have that bedroom 4?
I wanted her to have bedroom 4, but my dad really wanted rent. That whole unit that I live in is owned by my father.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you pay your father anything to live there, or does he just...
So we're going to skip ahead just a few minutes. They're just talking about the living arrangements and the fact that the father, he wanted his money, etc. Just going to skip around to the 48 mark, 48 minutes. All right, we'll start here.
Have you had any conversation with Maddie that mommy isn't together with Stefan anymore and this is kind of the ways of the world? Do you have that conversation with her?
She had, by June, she figured it out already, so she knew we weren't together or anything like that.
So big shout out to Missy Miss, a member for 2 months. She says she's more of a mother to Stefan than Maddie. And you guys understand, there's this whole codependency that they have. You know, believe it or not, this lady does not have any self-esteem. Jen Soto has no self-esteem. She doesn't think she deserves a normal man. She doesn't think she deserves a man who doesn't have her type of mental illness, who could go out there, work, be a role model to Maddie, and help take care of her. Keep her grounded, keep her on her medication, show her a happier part. She's codependent. She thinks that the only person she deserves is a Stefan Stern. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when you're asking that question, like, why is she doing all this for Stefan? Because that's all she thinks she's worth. Let's keep going.
So she, by December, yeah, she had already known he was leaving,
Okay.
but that was okay.
Why is he coming back to visit after he's out?
We're still friendly with each other at this point. Christmas is coming up, and we wanted to spend Christmas together. So he comes up for a few days during Christmas, and then he does visit a few more times after that, but for the day, and it's to pick up packages. He keeps...
All right, so Christmas is on the 25th, and she says, we know he visited him for Christmas, a few days for Christmas, and she said a few times after that, which then would be January, because remember, the 25th, I mean, he already visited for 25th, and then you said a few other times after that. That means January and February. But we know from testimony from the father and the mother and from Jen herself in other interviews that he pretty much visited every single month. So Maddie missed her period in February. She died, what, the 26th, 27th? 27th, guys? You only got 28 or 29 months, days in February. Let me just see real quick. Put it up and see if this was a leap year. I forget. Let's see if this was a leap year. Let's go to February. February was a leap year. She died the 27th. There's only 2 more days left to the month without a period. Mind you, he was there in January, could have got her pregnant there. He was there in December, could have got her pregnant there. She's a little girl. She could have got some semblance of a period in January, a light period, but still be pregnant. It happens all the time to women. Girls, whatever, the females. But definitely in February, she got no period. But he was there every single month which gave him an opportunity every single month after he officially moved out of the house to have gotten his child pregnant. Let's keep going, because we're getting to that pregnancy part. We're almost done, and we're getting there, and we're going to talk about this.
He's getting mail delivered to my house, packages. So he just comes up and picks them up.
And when he comes to visit after he's been kind of kicked out, is he paying rent, or how is this working, or is he just coming to visit?
He's just coming to visit.
Is your father making any arrangements to rent bedroom number 4? Because this is his income that he's losing.
Yeah, we had it. We had like an ad posted to see if we can get any renters. So we were trying to rent it out, but then we had to stop.
And what happens if you had ended up renting room number 4? Is Stefan going to still come up and visit you and sleep in your bed?
I don't know. I hadn't even thought of it at that point.
At one point you told investigators that Stefan was quote-unquote stuck down there until they could afford for him to come back. Were there plans for him to come back?
We had
All right, so this is good. Pay attention to this, guys.
discussed him coming back and living with me. We weren't sure if temporarily or like for me to help him out with the place for a little bit before he can find his own place and move out. Or we were also considering talking about living together as like a companionship. It was my best friend who's helping me out with my.
And what did I tell you guys initially when we spoke about this months ago? So this happens a lot with, and I wasn't denigrating in any way, but I told you guys just a fact. So just off of my experience, a lot of times these predators look for single mothers who need a companion. These ladies have long given up on love and all that stuff. Many times they've been in abusive relationships with the biological father of the child. Not saying that this is Jen Soto's situation, just telling you generalized experiences that I've seen in my career. And they'll look for damaged young women who have been through really tough situations, and they will latch on to them. And not only are they a companion, but they're also a babysitter. And it's kind of like what she was looking for from Stephen Stearns. He was a babysitter. He was a babysitter. We were thinking about him coming back and living as a companion. She doesn't even need that. She's not without babysitters. She could work 60 hours a week if she wanted to, and there'd be people to watch the child. She could have literally said, "Grandma, Mommy, take her full time. I got to work. I got to support myself. I got to save her for her college. Just take her." And Maddie lives just a couple miles away. She could see Maddie all the time. Maddie comes spend the night at her house anytime she wants. She didn't need Stephen Stearns. But this is what guys like Stephen Stearns do, these predators. They'll look for women like Jen Soto, single mothers, low self-esteem, possibly with abusive backgrounds, and they will sink their claws into them. She wanted him to be a babysitter. Listen to it with your own ears.
Because
we weren't sure if temporarily or like for me to help him out with the place for a little bit before he can find his own place and move out. Or we were also considering talking about living together as like a companionship. It was my best friend who's helping me out with my child.
Because you told investigators that a lot of the reason your relationship fizzled off with Stefan was that your antidepressants.
All right, so this one kind of gets weird because that last word he says, it sounded funny. I don't know if they tried to redact it or it just came out his mouth funny, and then they redacted it about antidepressants. I wonder what that is. Was he stealing her antidepressants? Was he selling her antidepressants? Was he her antidepressant? It's kind of weird. This is why it ended. I don't really understand what's said. If anybody knows, chime in. But this is why the relationship supposedly ended. Big shout out to Honeybees with a $5 super sticker. Appreciate you.
Or we were also considering talking about living together as like a companionship. It was my best friend who's helping me out with my child.
Best friend who was helping me out with my child.
Because you told investigators that a lot of the reason your relationship fizzled off with Stefan was that your antidepressants.
He says, that's Stefan, that your antidepressants. That's what it sounds like he said, but I don't know what he says after that. Let's keep going.
You had moved on to other people, had you not?
I mean, that was pivotal. Something probative was said there. Something very, very important was said there, and they redacted it. And then they went to moving on. I want to know what was said there. I'm wondering what was said there, because this is the reason why they broke up. Whether it's stealing, whatever, this is the reason why they broke up allegedly. Let's keep going. She moved on. That's what he said.
Yes.
And so despite having moved on with other people, you were still having Stefan come up and visit, and there were plans to cohabitate with him again, potentially.
Possibly, yes.
She don't have a libido, but she's still banging a ton of other people. Not to be disrespectful, but it is what it is. And to boot, he's coming up. And if you don't think that he's not hitting it, then you a fool. Doesn't make sense to me. Big shout out to the new members we have. We have Janie, who's a new member. We have Kaleido Hope, who's a new member. And, of course, that $5 super sticker from Honeybees. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. No libido, right? Yeah, I don't believe it.
Maddie had the opportunity to go visit her biological father in the fall out in Texas. Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember texting the biological father, hope nobody touches Maddie or tries shit or films her under the bathroom? You remember saying?
Now, I looked it up, and this was a real story. She's going to say, oh, it's a flight attendant. I looked it up, and somebody sent me the article as well. And it's a real story. There's a flight attendant who was doing that. But isn't that odd that Stephen Stearns is doing the same thing in her house? Now, I'd say it's a coincidence if this is not something that Stephen Stearns was accused of doing. But Stephen Stearns did the exact same thing in her house, and now she's asking for Maddie's biological father not to do that to Maddie. That's very interesting, but let's listen to it.
In that text?
No.
Another serious redaction right now. That's why it's silence, not me.
Orange County Sheriff's Office back in February?
No.
Because that seems like a very oddly specific thing to text the father. So you didn't know anything about what was going on filming underneath bathroom doors?
No idea. I don't know why I would have texted that.
June 16th of last year.
All right, this is huge. This is huge. Pay attention, people. It's huge.
About 9:30 p.m.
Oh, actually, I can't actually think back to that.
Okay. What?
I think around the time that Maddie
I'm going to fast forward because I already told you what she said.
to film, over that.
Okay. Now, June 16th of last year at 9:30 p.m. and 27 seconds, you texted Stefan this.
Huge.
Maddie's no longer sleeping with me. I can't risk it. What does that mean?
Insanely probative. Why would she text that? She's no longer sleeping with me. I can't risk it. Now, when we're dealing with a case like this that's involving SA, sleeping could also mean activity, X-activity. Now, if they could prove this, they would have charged her, and we would be working with what's called a plea bargain. Remember that. They'd be charging her with the SA abuse of her daughter, and they'd be working with a plea bargain to try and get her to testify against Stephen. But when we're dealing with these sleeping arrangements, it could very well just mean sleeping. But think about that. Why would she say that? Why would she say that? Let's go back. Let's hear that one more time.
This did happen to a girl.
Okay.
So I want to say it may have been concerns over that.
Okay. Now, June 16th of last year at 9:30 p.m. and 27 seconds, you texted Stefan this. Maddie's no longer sleeping with me. I can't risk it. What does that mean?
I mean?
How often was Maddie sleeping with you?
People don't forget these facts. People don't forget these facts. People don't forget things like that. You're not going to forget a statement like that. There has to be a big reason that you thought about, that you've pondered about, that would make you come to the conclusion where your daughter can no longer sleep with you and then text your boyfriend this information, this point, for him to now understand the reason why you no longer will allow this to happen. She's not being honest. She's not being truthful. Let's keep going. So the detective stayed silent for a while. I would have stayed silent just a little bit longer, or I would have pressed her like, remember, you're here to be honest. Nothing we say can be used against you. I'm surprised that these detectives haven't prefaced on that when they ask these tough questions, reminding her, let me remind you, nothing you say here can be used against you in a criminal investigation. I would have said that to her. I'd say, Jen, while you're thinking about it, please remember, nothing you say here can be used against you in our criminal investigation. But he chose to move on with a different question. That's his prerogative. Let's see what she says.
Often, all the time.
Well, you keep on saying often versus all the time. Was it 100% of the time or not 100% of the time?
If she wasn't with my mom and she was with me, then yeah, she was sleeping with me.
Okay. And if she's at mom, she's 100% of the time sleeping with mom? Your mom?
With my mom, or she does have her own room, I guess, like another spare room she could use, but for the most part, she prefers to sleep with my mom.
Okay. Now, my understanding is that you had some sort of period tracker that you kept track of Madeline's period with?
I had a calendar app that I would write what days she would get her period, yeah.
And obviously, Madeline doesn't have a job, so she's not going out and buying the products that she would need if she had her period, right? You would have to do that for her? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes?
Yes.
So, do you remember her using any of those products at all in February? Because I assume you take the trash out, or does she take the trash out, or how does all this work?
I take the trash out. In February, no, I didn't notice her using any of her feminine hygiene products.
Did you have any conversations with her about that?
No, but I didn't notice until after everything.
Because it would have been due like at the beginning of February, and this all happens at the end of February, so she's almost due again in March. So you never had any conversations with her about not having her period at the beginning of February?
No, there have been.
Sorry. I muted myself by accident. But like I said, guys, this is insanely probative. Why would a detective ask her this question? We spoke about it enough that I don't even need to go crazy on it because we spoke about through this entire life about the pregnancy. Pregnancy is on the table. And the same people who are in this chat saying, oh, they still might press charges on Jen. They still might press charges on her. Oh, it could still happen. Couldn't they not add an additional charge of murder onto Stephen Stern later for an unborn child if that's in fact what happened? And isn't it not still the motive if we find out that they thought she was pregnant but she was not? It doesn't matter whether she was physically, biologically pregnant or if they just thought she was pregnant. The motive is still pregnancy. If they killed her or if Stephen killed her because he thought she was pregnant, his motive is still pregnancy, even if she was not physically pregnant. Pregnancy is on the table, guys. That's why this experienced Detective of the Year detective, we went over their credentials, is asking her, did you have a conversation with her about the fact that she did not get her period for the month of February. She died without a period in February, ladies and gentlemen, and she normally got her period the beginning of the month. Let's keep going.
She's had other periods that have been missed or like super late, so I just assumed this was going to be one of those situations again.
Okay.
But no, I didn't.
Did you ever discuss her periods or lack of periods with Stefan?
I don't think so.
It's my understanding that Maddie had to take Miralax. I'm familiar with that myself because of my daughter when she was little. So she had constipation issues?
Yeah.
Would it ever cause her discomfort, physical pain, bleeding?
Yes.
And how are you aware of that?
She would tell me. There have been moments. So we've gone to doctor's appointments. They've run a lot of tests on her. They told me why her body is doing what it's doing. But she's shown me if there was blood or if she's in the bathroom and she just can't go, like it's stuck. She showed me that too. So
did she ever specifically seek treatment for tears or bleeding or anything due to her bowel movements?
No, I don't think so. Tears or anything.
All right, so tears and stuff like that is going to happen through rough anal sex. He's not saying that, but you're not getting tears from moving your blouse. You're not getting tears from moving your bowels. You're getting tears because we know what was happening to Maddie. And the trauma that she was being inflicted by this man that's behind me right now probably caused a lot of her gastrointestinal issues. It probably caused it, especially if she's under and she's not conscious and he's doing these things without the input of a willing participant saying, slow down, stop, take it easy, whatever, the things that adults do when they're doing these activities. If she's out cold and he's just doing what he's doing, he could inflict a lot of damage on this child. They're talking about bleeding from her rectum and anal tears. This is stuff that happens when somebody is doing something like what Stephen Stearns was doing to this child, not because she's doing regular bowel movements. If this stuff is happening, then she's got some serious gastrointestinal issues, probably requiring surgery if her body's just doing this on its own. This lady's extremely negligent as a parent. And I doubt she was taking this girl to the doctor on a regular, because if these doctors were examining her body parts and seeing what was happening with her, they was taking her to a gynecologist, and this gynecologist was seeing the state of her JJ, they would have said, when she's in that room by herself, are you sexually active? What's going on here? And it's either she's going to say yes, or she's going to say, something's happening to me. I doubt she was taking her to a gynecologist. I doubt she was taken to a gastrointestinal doctor who was going to examine her rectum. She's not doing these things, because if she did, people would have found out that stuff was happening to this child. Let's keep going.
Like that, no. I don't think there was ever a tear.
Okay. On February 26th, the whole purpose of Stefan coming and taking Madeline to school was so that you could get some sleep. You had missed your medication Saturday night, so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
Is there any particular reason Stefan couldn't have driven your car to take Madeline to school and therefore not embarrass her and he could just drop her off normally?
Yes, but because he's not on my car insurance, I was very nervous to let him drive my car.
You did let him drive your car after this occurred, though, right?
Yes, but he was very insistent because he wanted to go look for Maddie, and he had a spare on his car because he had a flat, so he couldn't drive his car. So he just really wanted to go out. So I just let him, but I wasn't comfortable with it.
Okay. During your previous interviews, and you did it once today, you kind of interchanged I, we, or Stefan dropping Madeline off at school. Did you see Madeline at all on February 26th of 2024, that Monday?
No.
Do you know anything about how she died?
No.
Did Did Stefan tell you anything about how she died? Did Stefan tell you about his plans to go back down to Northport in your car that Wednesday morning? Got any questions, Mark? I know we're getting close.
I'm going to jump through because I was making notes as we were going on.
All right, so it's almost over, guys. They're going to be really quick with these last few. We're actually 57 minutes is 109. You guys have slaved through this with me, so it's almost done. Let's listen to these last two probative questions. Once again, in the chat, we have a new bot that assists us with moderation. It's really cool. I really like it. Aki likes it too, and if Aki likes it, I like it. But we need to just tweak it and refine it. Some of you guys, when you put multiple emojis, and that's all you're putting, just emojis, if you put more than 3, it's going to delete your message and it's going to call you a spammer. So just put 3 or less. All right, 3 or less, and your message will stay inside of the chat. All right, so please do that. That bot is also pitching our membership. Listen to the bot. Click the link, become a member of the Strategic Eyes Show. Please support our channel. All right, the bot is also telling us hit that like button. It just said that. Please hit the like button, support the channel. We're at 1,200 likes right now with 1,400 people watching the show. We do appreciate you. For everybody who's hit that like button, please consider doing it. And also, please remember, we give you content that you do not get on this live show for 99 cents at the smallest, the lowest tier with our membership. Consider becoming a member of the Strategic Eyes Show. A lot of our shows are demonetized, all right? We don't get YouTube revenue from it. YouTube takes that money and says, no, this is us, because we don't like what you're saying, because you're talking about Madeline Soto, which is a young lady that was a victim of a heinous crime, because you're over here trying to bring awareness to this young girl. We don't like that. You're not making videos about cats, all right, and dogs. People like dogs. I'm not really a dog guy. Don't fault me for it, but you're not making cat and dog videos, so we're going to demonetize you. What shields us from that is the generosity of you guys. We're not begging you for anything. If you want to be generous, you be generous. If you don't, you don't. It's fine. We're happy that you're here. But if you want to be a supporter of the show, the way to do that is through the Patreon or through the membership. All right? And we do appreciate you. Let's keep going.
So how frequently did Stefan come up here after he moved back to Northport?
I'm going to say
How many times total do you think he came back here?
2 to 3 times.
Do you remember if those were around specific dates?
One was like the week of Christmas. I can't remember when the other one was.
Was Stefan in town the week or 2 prior to this last time he came?
I want to hear this answer because I actually forgot what she said, but big shout out to Angie with a $5 super sticker. Says, keep it up. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate you 1,000%. You definitely are helping us, and we appreciate it. Let's keep going. Let's listen. Was Stefan there 2 to 3 weeks prior? Let's listen.
I don't remember. It's possible, but I don't remember.
It's possible. I don't remember. It's a blur.
Do you remember sending him a text message asking if he can babysit Maddie while you go have lunch with your friend?
I mean, guys, if you guys don't think she's complicit, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, we don't have no evidence of it. You know, I would never go before a jury and testify that I think that she's guilty of anything. I don't have no evidence. But she's 13 years old. She's 12. All right, so she's 12 at the time. She's a 12-year-old girl living in a house with at least 2 other adults other than her mother. So that's 3 adults total. And not only are there three adults total, but there's also teenagers that her age as well. Why does she need to call a guy that lives 3 hours away, 6 hours round trip, to come to her house and babysit a 12-year-old girl? Why? She doesn't need to. So unless you had some other plans for this dude, while you go out to lunch with your paramour, whoever it may be, whether it was just a friend or a butt buddy, whatever she's doing, there's no reason why she should have called Stefan Stearns to come 3 hours away to spend time with her daughter, who's not his biological child. Unless there's something else going on there. I don't know. Big shout out to Doreen Rick with a $20 super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Doreen. Thank you. It means a lot to us, and that's a lot of money. Thank you very much. You are amazing. Let's keep going.
This was a few weeks before. I remember going out a few weeks before. I don't remember asking him to babysit. I don't know where he was.
How do you... I don't understand this. Now she doesn't remember. Like I told you guys, the first interviews and proffers usually are still filled with lies. That's why you have multiple proffer interviews. Multiple, because it takes a while to get to the truth. Big shout out to Daily Devotions with a $10 super chat. Says, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and can totally relate to your explanations and your passion for this case. Thank you for being so specific. Keep it coming. Thank you so much, Daily Devotions. You are appreciated. Let's keep going.
Did you ever go to lunch with your friend? And he babysat her?
I did go to lunch with my friend, but I don't think he was here. I think Maddie stayed home alone for a few hours.
I don't think he was there. I think she stayed home alone. That's not definitive. Alina Christine with a 149 super sticker. Thank you so much. That's not specific. How do you not know that specific day she stayed home by herself? Unless it wasn't a big deal. Unless you didn't need him to watch her and she stayed home by herself all the time. Unless there's a specific reason why you asked him if he wanted to come over that day. Unless there's a specific reason for that specific request. And when he said no, or maybe he said yes, maybe he came over and you're just lying and you're saying you don't remember if he did, it's not a big deal. The bottom line is, it's not a reason why there's no reason why, rather, she should have asked this man to come 6 hours round trip to watch her daughter, who is a preteen/teenager, just for her to go to lunch with somebody. Doesn't make sense.
Okay. When you mentioned Maddie caught on about you guys being broke up, how did that happen? What did she say? Or
I forgot. Me and Stefan were having a conversation, and she goes, "Are you guys broken up?" And we kind of looked at her, and we're like, "Why do you ask?" She goes, "Because you guys are kind of acting like you're broken up. You guys haven't hugged and kissed in a long time." Okay. So we just kind of...
How do you think she felt about that?
Fine. She didn't act sad or happy or anything. You're just like, whatever.
All right. Now you mentioned to me before too that you found her phone on her dresser in like her little bedroom area. Does she have a specific spot where she plugs in her phone to charge?
Hold on, I want to show you guys this picture real quick of inside Stephen Stern's room. I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know if it's his room, or if it's in Jen's house. In fact, I don't know who this is. I'm going to share it with you guys. This is on Plunder's Patreon. Go join her Patreon. You won't regret it. I'm not going to steer you to do anything that I don't feel is worth it. Like, where is this? I'm curious. I'm curious where this is. Who's taking this picture? Could this be at his house? I see multiple dogs there. We know that they bred dogs and they were dog people. You see dogs and animals cosplay on his wall. Flags, musicals, Wicked, a gaming computer appears to be. I'm wondering where this took place. That's what I just wanted to figure that out. Somebody in the comment section, if you know, let me know. Let's keep going.
You found her phone on her dresser in like her little bedroom area. Does she have a specific spot where she plugs in her phone to charge? How does she charge her phone?
So on her side of my bed, she's got a long charger. She'll connect it there to charge. Don't know how she charged it that night though. Don't know if she took her charger and moved it to the room upstairs. Not sure.
How do you charge your phone?
I charge my phone with my charger next to me on my side of the bed.
Okay, is it one that you plug in?
We're almost in the finish line, people. Almost in the finish line. Big shout out to New York City Baby Boomer with a $1.99 super sticker. Says, thank you for your unbiased opinions. I appreciate you.
Or
The magnetic one.
okay. Now, when you go to bed at night, is there any kind of routine that you do with your phone? If you're texting, looking on TikTok or whatever, and you go to bed, you just set your phone down and go to sleep, or what's that routine like?
I'll TikTok until I start dozing off, and then I'll put my phone on the charger, make sure my alarm's on, and then yeah, just lay down, close my eyes, and hope not to think of too much, just fall asleep.
Okay, that night, Saturday or Sunday night, when you guys, when spending this half hour of time together, was all you were doing was talking about gifts and counting her money, or were you guys doing anything else?
Just asking her for more details about the party and to tell me like what I missed. She seemed like she had a really good time.
When you got home from work,
That's a lot of stuff to do in such a short amount of time. 30 minutes. That's it. Remember, she wanted the daughter home so she could spend time with the daughter. But as soon as she gets home, she counted the money, spoke to her about the birthday party, ate the club sandwich that was waiting for her, and then sent her on her way. It's a lot to do in a short period of time. Let's keep going.
that day, where was everybody?
I think everyone was in my room.
Somebody made a good point in the comment section. Callie said it. When did they watch Sister Act? At what point did they watch Sister Act? Remember, Stephen Stern said they watched Sister Act and her singing voice and all that good stuff. But Jen is saying 30 minutes. I sent them upstairs to go to bed. Because I needed my sleep because I had an appointment the next day at 10:30 in the morning. And mind you, Maddie got to be to school at 9-ish. But I needed my rest. It's a lot of holes in this story. Let's keep going.
Hanging out in my room.
Okay, everybody meaning?
Maddie and Stefan were in my room. Sorry.
All right. Now, it's obvious that you and Stefan communicate via text message and phone calls and stuff like that. What is Google Meet?
What is Google Meet? That is like Google's version of FaceTime. So just face chatting.
Okay.
Video chatting.
Okay.
Big shout out to Conspiracy Realist, who's now a member of Strategic Show. Thank you for joining.
When her birthday party was planned, was this planned before you got your job or after?
The birthday party?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was planned before. Because once I saw my schedule and I saw that it was during a training day, and I wasn't going to call out. I considered rescheduling the party, but my family was insistent to just keep it that day. And I said, okay.
All right, big shout out to, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. Big shout out to Doreen Rick, who gave a 5 gift membership to 5 lucky people to the Strategic Guys Show. Either tonight or tomorrow morning, early afternoon, I'm going to do a members only live for Patrol and Up. Patrol and Up will get a members only live. To anybody who's a recruit, just letting you know right off the gate, it's going to be for Patrol and Up. Don't worry, recruits get a lot of material and media for them to consume. All right, a lot of content. That's the word that I'm thinking. I'm starting to get fatigued, guys, so we're going to be ending it soon. We're almost at the 3-hour mark. But we will be doing a live for Patrol Up either tonight or tomorrow. Look out for that. And that's why I don't like doing long lives, because I start losing the energy, guys. I'm starting to get fatigued, so we'll be ending soon.
All right, so Stefan moves out of his room, and I think you mentioned that your dad had plans on renting that room again to somebody else. Is that right?
Yeah.
How was that room set up? How was Stefan's room set up after he moved out?
Pretty much the same. Much the same. The bed was in the same location. The TV, the dresser, the desk, and the mini fridge. Everything stayed in the same location.
Okay, was the bed, and did it have comforter, blankets, and all that stuff on it, or?
When he moved out, everything was empty. There was a mattress protector cover on it. But I had clean sheets and clean blankets to put on, like they're available. So
Where were they available?
in the closet,
Okay.
and I did, yeah. I let them know they were there.
Do you know if he made the bed?
I don't know, but I'm going to assume he. I don't know.
What did the blankets look like that would be used to make that bed?
They would be white cotton linen sheets with. They're white, but they're white stripes, different shades of white. So white stripes going down it. That was a fitted cover, then a sheet, and then the pillowcases. And it should have been like a warm blanket in the closet somewhere.
The same color, white or?
Maybe gray.
Okay. When you say there's pillowcases, how many pillows were on the bed?
I'm not sure. I know that we had taken things out of that room before. I don't know if we used those pillows. I'm not sure what pillows.
All right, somebody said they sent me Cash App. Just thank you so much. I'm not going to read out any names or anything like that because sometimes people's real names come over on those Cash Apps and PayPal and stuff like that. Thank you so much for everybody who's donating via other means other than YouTube. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's keep going.
Those were up there.
Okay. Did you ever go into the room after you discovered that she was missing? Did you go upstairs to that bedroom? No. Okay. So when you go to sleep in your room, and you're either with Maddie or without Maddie or with Stefan, is your door open, closed, lights on, lights off?
When I go to sleep? So I have a cat. I can't shut the door. I have to leave it cracked. So it stays cracked. With a little.
When people start telling you stories like that, you know that they're trying to deceive you. She's being very deceptive. Well, so what do you do when you? Well, so I have a cat. Very personable, very like I gotta leave it open because the cat, because she likes to do this and that. You're basically stalling for time, and you're trying to make yourself sound more personable, more truthful by giving somebody your truth and then substance to go with it, or rather your deceptive lie rather and substance to go with it. She's definitely trying to be deceptive and she's lying. That's my opinion, guys. Big shout out to JPL. She says it's deleted by Nightbot. Oh my gosh, this Nightbot thing is ridiculous. I can't believe it deleted her super chat. I apologize for that. I read it, but I forgot it. I'm sorry, JPL. JPL, if you want to just throw what you said in the chat again, we'll see it, and we will definitely make it bigger so I can see it highlighted or whatever, and I'll read that out. But that's a $10 super chat from JPL, and we apologize for that. We promise that the next show, we will have the kinks worked out of that Nightbot app, okay? I apologize for that. I do want to go back for a second. We're almost at the end, but I want to hear him talk about this tripod thing because I missed that. Somebody said he said it in the chat. Let's keep going.
I'm not sure. I know that we had taken things out of that room before. I don't know if we used those pillows. I'm not sure what pillows were up there.
Okay. Did you ever go into the room after you discovered that she was missing? Did you go upstairs to that bedroom? No. So when you go to sleep in your room, and you're either with Maddie or without Maddie or with Stefan, is your door open, closed, lights on, lights off?
When I go to sleep? So I have a cat. I can't shut the door. I have to leave it cracked. So it stays cracked with a door stopper behind it so it doesn't open all the way because my cat will just knock it over. Yeah, but we sleep with the door cracked.
Okay, lights on, lights off.
Lights off, with a YouTube video playing in the background, playing rain sounds.
Okay, with that, with the
It's all good, JPL. Just write it again in the chat. I'm actually looking for you right now. I'm still looking for your comment. Just write out your comment in the chat, and we'll make sure that I read it out right now. I'll stop the show so I can read it out. We do appreciate you, JPL. It's very generous of you to give us that super chat. So just write it out again, and we'll definitely read it out for you.
the screen be illuminated, or is it something where a screen, like a phone, where the screen goes black and it still plays?
It goes black, yeah, and still
Okay. Do you remember it happened that night if you were listening to those YouTube videos, or?
Probably was. I listen to it every night, so I probably was.
Does it shut off automatically?
Around like 4 or 5 a.m., but then I'll notice and I'll press play again.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you're easily woken up, or no? By sounds like that, or?
I'm not sure if I'm easily woken up.
Yeah, you know what? It's just so much lies here. JPL says she explains way too much. I 100% agree. She's over-explaining because she's trying to come off as genuine. But this is okay, guys. Like I told you guys, this is a part of the process when you're doing a proffer. The person's first going to be deceptive because they're not going to believe that they could be 100% truthful. I believe that there are more interviews that we're going to get from this woman. And that taste of an interview where she said the sex was not evil, but the murder was, I think that's a part of that larger interview where she's going to start telling the truth about how she feels about this situation, man. I think more is to be had from this, guys. Let's keep going. We got 2 more minutes, and then let me wrap it up with my summary. I was going to do a call-in show, but I don't have any time. It's just too much. I'm so exhausted. I'm going to go and get me some Chinese food, and I hate that stuff. I eat healthy. I eat broccoli and corn, and that's it. That's not even a healthy corn. But I eat super healthy. But I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to treat myself with some Chinese food after this. That's how hard you guys have worked me today. So let's keep going, and I'll wrap it up when we're done. 2 more minutes of the interview, and it's done, and then we'll wrap it up.
I don't know.
Okay. Now, the purpose of you telling or having Maddie sleep with Stefan upstairs is because you told me before that you needed a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
If you needed this kind of sleep previously to when Stefan wasn't there, what would happen?
Very good question. Very good question.
You mean if Stefan wasn't there and I needed this good night's sleep?
You know what? I'm sorry to pause it, but this is an excellent question. I want to make sure you heard me. Excellent question. What made this one different? Explain to me what you do if you need a good night's rest.
It depends. If I had missed my meds the way I missed them that night, and I wasn't feeling, or I was feeling just how I was feeling, I'm not sure if I would have had her have her sleep with me on the other side of the bed, or if I would have sent her upstairs to the guest room. But she sleeps like a monkey. She rolls. She'll start on one end of the bed and end up on top of me by the end of the night. And she's a gymnast, I guess. But
Have you ever sent?
So you didn't answer the question. The answer that you gave was basically, I would not call Stefan. I would not need him, because you had options. She sleeps on the other end of your bed. If you don't want that, she sleeps in her makeshift bedroom in the living room. If she doesn't like that because there's supposedly spiders there, then she sleeps upstairs in the guest bedroom. You had tons of options, and there's other options. Or she spends the night at your mother's house, or she spends the night at your sister's house. You had options, and none of those options involved calling Stefan Stearns 3 hours away, 6 hours round trip to your house to help a preteen/teenager with everyday activities such as taking a shower, washing her nether regions, brushing her teeth, drinking some medical solution, big deal, and going to bed. None of that needed Stefan Stearns. You called him there for a reason, and what we need to find out is why. Let's keep going. It's got a few seconds left.
Her upstairs to sleep?
not for any of these reasons.
Have you ever sent her upstairs to sleep by herself?
Alone?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'm going to need to wrap this up.
Okay, one more question.
So he said, I'm going to interrupt this because he's saying it's going too long. It's okay. It's all right. This is what the attorney's supposed to do. All right? They're going to have more interviews. Let's keep going. He said one more question.
Does anybody use your phone other than you?
No. Except for the day that we were sitting in front of my house and forensics was in the house. That was the only time I've ever let anyone use my phone, and that was Stefan. Stefan had my phone.
What about, do you wear an Apple Watch?
Yes.
Does it track any of your movements or anything like that that you know of? Do you sleep with your watch on?
No. I hardly ever put it on, honestly.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything else.
Do you have anything
And that's the end of that.
real quick, Danielle? Do you have anything that you think we should know, Matthews?
Unfortunately, no.
All right, that's the end of it. You got any more questions? Any more statements? Blah, 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 blah. Nope. First of all, before I wrap this up, can I get a round of applause in the chat? Remember, you can't put more than 3 emojis. You put more than 3 emojis, the Nightbot is going to say that you're spamming. Just 1 emoji. Can I get a round of applause in the chat for Jules? Jules from Sydney. Jules from Sydney. One of my moderators, she was kicking butt today. I appreciate you, Jules. Thank you so much. We were working you hard. And Jules is from Sydney, so it's probably like midnight where she's at right now. It's probably like 1 in the morning or something like that. It's not even today. It's probably tomorrow. She's listening to us in the future right now. So Jules did an excellent job, and we appreciate you, and the chat appreciate you, Jules. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Aki. Aki showing that love, and definitely the queen moderator. She's making it happen. So big shout out to Aki. It was a long show. I kept these people away from their daily lives for a long time. Big shout out to Nina Drew with the 99-cent super sticker. Big shout out to Inigo Montoya, one of the two. Appreciate you. $5 super chat saying they asked the questions on at the end because they know her device was moving around all night. Yeah, that's absolutely a good observation, man. We had a really good show today. I hope it was a good show. You know, it is what it is. You guys will be the judge. 1,300 likes. I appreciate you. Please make sure you hit that like button when you're leaving. See, I told you guys I'm fatigued. When you're getting out of here. There's some things that I missed and I'm thinking about now. It's hard when you're doing a live show. It's very difficult. The things that I believe that I've missed, that I wanted to talk about, that I didn't talk about, I'll just do it in a separate show. It'll just be a couple of minutes. I'll dump it. I'll say, hey, this is an addendum to the live. I didn't discuss this. I want you guys to discuss this. There's another thing I want you guys to do that's going to be done for our next live show, which is going to be Sunday. I might do a live sometime during this week. Maybe I'll do it sometime during this week because I'm working in the nighttime this week. So I'll have time during the day to do a live show. Do me a favor. Email the Strategic Eyes Show. Email the Strategic Eyes Show with questions that you have about the case that you felt like I did not cover today. Questions you have about derivative use immunity. Questions you have about transactional immunity. Questions you have about proffers and queens of the days, etc. Questions you have about this stuff that we tried to cover here and we may have missed. And we'll cover it on the next live that we do, or standalone show where you can check that out and do your thing. I'll also be talking about other things during the live shows that are just for members. We do members only lives. So if you're a member, you get to be a part of those things, and we never make those lives available for everybody else. So it's either you're a member and you know of its existence and you participated, or you're not and you never know about it and you're missing out on the fun. The live shows are the backbone of our channel. So I really am very grateful for you guys joining me. I'm grateful for all the heavy hitters who stopped by and showed love. Grizzly True Crime, thank you so much for stopping by, showing love. Plunder, thank you so much for stopping by, showing love. The Docket, thank you so much for stopping by, showing love. And every other YouTuber who may have stopped by and showed that love and just was lurking in the background, didn't say anything in the chat, I want to tell you that I thank you and I appreciate your support. But please go support those channels. They have big shows, but they could always do with your support, because these guys are the ones who are bringing us this information. They're bringing it here. I'm using that audio that you just listened to was from Plunder. It's from Plunder. I would not have had that audio without Plunder. This show would not have been created without Plunder, the Docket, and GHI, who all went together and paid, I think they said like $4,000 or $5,000 to get this audio and other information that they're releasing. Plunder, GHI, and the Docket, all three of them went in, spent thousands of dollars to give us this show. And I paid nothing. I don't have any money. I could not give them. Maybe I could give them $20 if they ask. Maybe I might give me like a picture. If you're listening, Docket, he's like the guy to mastermind the Docket. So if you're listening, Docket, I will send you $20. Send me one picture, one exclusive picture. Breaking news, guys. The Strategic Eyes Show has one photo from the new the new release. Okay. It is what it is, guys. So please do show love to those channels, just like they show love to me, and they acknowledge my existence. This small channel, they acknowledge my existence and they show me love, and I appreciate that. So go show love to them. What else we got going? We do have Strategic Eyes merchandise. If you guys support the channel, you buy the merchandise, you become members, you send super chats and all that stuff, then I might be able to have some money to go ahead and actually foil these things on my own and be able to break news and have breaking news situations where instead of we're listening to the Docket on his amazing channel to get this brand new video or audio rather, you could be doing that with the Strategic Eyes Show. And instead of me going to them to buy this material from them or just use it from them because they're very gracious, they don't copyright strike people, they'll be coming to me and I'll be able to either sell it to them through my Patreon or allow them to use my content without copywriting, because that's not what I'm about either. And we could enrich the true crime community as a whole, because that's just a beautiful thing. So please do support the channel. One day we'll be a big channel too, and we'll be able to give back to the community in the way that these guys give back to the community. But all good things happen in this time. It's baby steps. You be humble, you take your time, you don't rush, you don't burn bridges, you stay humble, you stay kind to everyone, and that's how you grow. That's how you become successful. You don't come on and disrespect people who have paved the way that you're now walking down. You stay humble, you stay kind, you don't burn bridges. If you have any issues, you talk to people behind the scenes like adults, you respect them, and you handle it that way. You don't do it on YouTube. You don't denigrate people, all right? The last thing I want to talk about is something that I've observed happening on some of these other channels. Please do not go on these big heavy hitter channels or anybody channel. Somebody with 200 subscribers, it doesn't matter. Don't go on their channel, drop super chats and say, hey, what do you think about what Strategic Eyes said on his show about X, Y, and Z? It's incredibly rude and it's not cool because you're putting that creator on the spot to address another YouTuber. No. Proper etiquette, guys, is when you're on somebody's channel, you're paying attention to what they have to say, you're listening to their point of view, their theories, their facts, etc., and you're taking that internally to yourself. And then you're making a decision for yourself. You're not throwing a creator off of their train of thought, having them address something another creator said. There's a time and a place for that. If a creator has like a Q&A or something and they say, ask me anything, then that's the time to do that. But if a creator's in the middle of presenting evidence to you, breaking news to you, explaining something to you, it's not appropriate to go on their channel and say, hey, you know, Strategic Eyes said this, what do you think? That's not cool. It's not cool. So please don't do that, especially using my name, all right? Whatever you do with other creators, not my business. It is what it is. But if you're going on these other channels and you're using my name, then I'm going to graciously ask you to please respect me and respect those creators and not do that. All right, guys? So I think we've covered everything. Once again, we have the merch. We have our membership and all that good stuff. I think we've definitely covered everything. It was a great show. But lastly, and I'll repeat myself one more time, please email me any questions you may have to strategiceyes with a Z at gmail.com. Strategic Eyes common spelling, except instead of an S at the end, I don't know why I did it. I must have been tired or something. I put a Z at the end. So Strategic Eyes with a Z at the end at gmail.com. Email me any questions you have so we can go over it. It is what it is. And that's about it, man. All right, guys. Be safe. Enjoy your day. Take care of your mental health. Take a break from true crime from time to time because it's a rough thing. Oh, and one more thing before I say bye. Make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section for the replay crew. And if you've been here already for this live show, just pop into the replay, leave a thumbs up, and at least say where you're from. If you've already exhausted all the questions you have in this live show, just go to that replay and say, I'm from Philadelphia, I'm from California, I'm from Sydney, I'm from Germany, I'm from Japan, I'm from Africa, so that we can get up in that algorithm, all right? So hit that like button and go in that comment section and say something, because that's engagement and that helps our show grow. So now I'm finally done. Betsy says she's from the UK. Thank you so much. I'm finally done. Strategic is out of here. Peace.